Good evening everyone and welcome back to the SimGrid channel here on YouTube. We're live tonight for the penultimate round of the Sprint Cup Season 3 where we've seen almost everything but the kitchen sink on display over the 4 previous rounds. Inconsistency has been the major talking point this season with no clear favourites for the championship and the top 10 teams are split by just 37 points. H3 Racing lead the championship by having the least tumultuous season so far with 2 third places and a 4th, but with such a narrow lead, it's still all to play for. We head tonight to Zolder in Belgium, a circuit that often gets overlooked for its more illustrious sibling over at Spa, but still offers its own unique challenge of high-speed straights and iconic overtaking opportunities for our second to last 90-minute race of this season. It's David Christie here, as always, in the virtual commentary booth. Alongside me is a man who knows almost everything you could want to know about these GT3 cars. It's the one and only Alex Goldschmidt. Alex, business end of the championship is upon us. Points table completely on its head, isn't it?
It is. You mentioned the word inconsistency in your opening monologue there, David, and that has been rather true. We've got to look at it that H3 Racing have had 2 thirds, a DNF at Imola, and a 4th last time out at the Hungaroring. We've only had 2 teams take victories, and both have 2 apiece. BMW Team G2 Esports with a win at Snetterton and Imola. Also Tauro, who came in, obviously no Amir Hosseini or Alaric Enzlin, who was part of the Season 2 lineup that won the championship. They took a win at Misano and they had a DNF, that spectacular one on the start-finish straight with Amir Hosseini, and then came back to win again at Hungaroring. We've also had Griphax Engineering and Carbon Sim Sport. They've been on the podium this season, as have the pairing of Niels van der Kerkhout and George Boothby, who are all the way down in 14th position. Send It Racing, Charlie Crossland and James Parker, they're within 24 points of H3 Racing. So this championship is still all to play for. This is where things are going to get decided. This circuit Zolder, known originally as Circuit Terlamen, it's just under 2.5 miles long, just over 4 kilometres. And it's going to provide one hell of a challenge. Tight, fast, technical, and everyone's going to have their eyeballs on stalks tonight.
I agree completely, and I want to hear more from you, Alex, about this Circuit Zolder, so let's throw it over to the track guide.
On board the Porsche 991.2 GT3R here at Zolder, across the start-finish line, heading up to just over 225 kph down from 5th into 3rd, going through Erster. Allow the car to drift to the right-hand side before sweeping back to the left. They approach it to Sterrenwacht, down into 2nd gear, 120 k's on the apex, and now start to accelerate through Kanalbocht, which is a sweeping right-hander on the run up to Lucien Bianchi Bocht, down from 5th through into 4th gear, 165 kph on the apex, and power through the corner, accelerate and gather speed. We're now up into 5th gear before the heavy braking zone for the Kleine Chicane, down from 5th into 2nd gear. Use as much of the curbs as you dare without launching the car up into the stratosphere. Through into Sacrament Schelling, the sweeping left into Buta before the Villeneuve chicane, down into 1st gear through the right, now through into the left before going through into Terlamen, where you are going to continue accelerating through the right-hander at over 4th gear at over 170 kph before the run down to Boulderberg. A quick short blast up through here, down into 1st, 67 kph on the apex, start accelerating through, and then go through Jochen Rindt before the final run down to the Jackie X Bocht. Down from 5th gear, all the way down the gearbox, down into 1st, 86 on the apex for the first one, and then start powering through the corner and across the line, and that's a hot lap here in the Porsche at Zolder.
So there we go, ladies and gentlemen, track guide round here at Zolder. And Alex, I mean, it is an iconic circuit. It definitely doesn't get as much attention as it deserves to, in part because of its sibling rival over at Spa. But I mean, this is a proper driver's track, isn't it?
It's old school as well, David, and the main thing here, looking at it from this aspect, as we see Hamada Erquizi go through the Sacrament Schelling and into Buta, which leads them onto one of two very important chicanes here, the Villeneuve chicane, which then takes them through Terlammenbocht. You've also got the Kleine Chicane, which is on the approach to the Sacrament Schelling, and we're on board with Hamada Erquizi, hard on the brakes, all the way down the gearbox into first gear through Boulderberg, and now it's the run towards the line. It's a very tight circuit, and overtaking opportunities here, David, are going to be at a premium. Now, we had some changes for tonight. We've actually got two Haupt Racing Team Mercedes AMG GT3 Evos, but Ben Hitz is now being partnered by Christian Lertes, with Danny Gewser not racing tonight. We've also got, now this is where things are going to get interesting, because we have two drivers that have nigh on an identical surname. So in the number 5 Haupt Racing Team, we've got Lucas Müller, and then we've got Lucas Müller. The difference is that there is what's called an umlaut, so you have to add an E at the end of it, so we might get a bit tongue-tied this evening. Also, 3 teams having to have a mandatory 10-second pit stop penalty before the car gets worked on. The 3 teams are Jardier Community, so Jaroslav Honzik on his own, no Valentin Barrier tonight. Manos Gerardis from TF Racing, so he's got no Giannis Tsaknis alongside, and also the Dow King Community car will be piloted by the Netherlands, Jan Willem van Ommen, so no Darren King tonight. But we've got to keep an eye on what is going to happen, because Tauro, the winners at Hungaroring, have the full 35 kilos of ballast, but again, this seems to happen. And David, as I've just said that, the rain has come down here at Zolder. The Belgian microclimate is in full effect.
Oh, and isn't it just, my goodness me, it's absolutely what we would call here in Scotland lamping it down. It's almost sideways. But 15 minutes still going qualifying, and that is going to turn things up on its head. Wow, oh wow, because obviously at the moment, is that Harry Spears up on pole position, 127.372? I don't know if anybody's going to do anything about that.
Well, I mean, actually, we've got a new lineup at Rocket Simsport, which has got Alex Buncombe and Robbie Stapleford behind the wheel of the 22 McLaren. They're just over a tenth off, and then Niels van der Kekelt has got the number 47 car up to P3, and you can now tell that the track has literally gone from optimum to greasy within 90 seconds. So now. This has really spiced things up, and Niles Nyox rounds out the top 6 behind Felix Ruppert in the number 16 XL Racing by Renvelden. And you can see here that at the moment, where is the 404? Hamada Erquizi's qualifying the car. He's down in 26th. So G2 Esports have a very distinct advantage tonight, and also, David, they're running with no ballast.
I've got to be honest, I think that's going to be absolutely huge tonight with the weather conditions. The ballast issue is such a strange one, because we've had such a weird season, with the fact that you mentioned it earlier, Alex, the fact that BMW Team G2 Esports, who have got an amazing advantage right now over H3, but we'll come back to that in a minute. They've won 2, and Tauro have won 2, but yet they're 2nd and 5th in the championship. I mean, that's good enough to have a clear lead at the front, but they're not even in the lead, and they're a little bit off. It's again just shows that the best of the season is 2/3 and a 4th, and even then H3 Racing had a DNF at Imola. It's strange times, and I think it's going to get even stranger tonight with the fact that from the looks of it, Harry Spears is almost guaranteed pole position right now.
Yeah, one of the other things that you have to remember here, David, is that Tauro, if they were actually with us at Snetterton and they'd scored big points, they would actually be leading this championship. So if Tauro come into this and, have good results tonight here at Zolder, and then the season finale at Suzuka as Sheldon Muscat gets a bit of a tank slapper going on through Tarlaman, Tauro could win this with with a no-show on the very first round, through a myriad of different circumstances. So I think here Tauro are the dark horse, but the firm favourites at the moment. I mean, H3 Racing all the way down the order in, 26th position, 2 positions behind Jaroslav Honzik, who in the Audi is going solo tonight. G2 have the advantage as Christoph Verstappen. Now he's from this neck of the woods. He's from Belgium. He had that car was going absolutely sideways going through Terlamen, and he kept it. So good save in quali.
And it's so important, but it's so demoralising at the same time. With 11 minutes and 30 seconds left to go in qualifying, all these drivers knowing that it's going to be nigh on impossible to take that top spot, but still they're all fighting. I mean, that's that's at least 2 drivers that I can see joint on the same time. You've got Kaminsky and Gerardus there as we go down. Robin Pagadal in the 911 along with Kaminsky, and it's just such a tight time. But given that these conditions are getting worse and worse and worse, what do you think we can look forward to in the race, Alex?
There could be a little bit of carnage. We have seen it before in terms of the type of circuit Zolder is. Going through Erster, I don't think that's going to be where the first problem is. It's going to be when you get to turns 2 and 3, Stellenbosch and Canal. Those are the 2 turns that really will possibly give problems for drivers. I mean, if people decide to go 2-3 abreast going through into Erster, then you're going to see someone probably being punted off and exiting stage right, going through the apex of the corner. But it's going to be an interesting one. I think we're going to have quite a few twists and tales tonight, David, and that's just only the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah, for sure. 10 minutes left to go in qualifying, and normally it would be such an important aspect of the night, and I think even more so with the deteriorating conditions. It's gone from optimal to green to greasy now to damp, and it's only going to get worse. The track temperature not exactly conducive for getting rid of these moist conditions, but Tinko van der Velde here for Sidemax Motorworks, the number 96, just coming out of the chicane there and on his way across the line. What's he do? I will tell you in just a second, actually, because I've got it was a 5:13, so we'll ignore that one, because it was quite blatantly it was either an attempt to mock my laps or it was an outlap. I think it was the latter.
Well, Florian Becker from alphaspot.com, currently 7th in the championship. The first 3 rounds at Snetterton, Misano and Imola, not out of the top 10, but Hungaroring, it was a bit of a struggle. We saw several of the teams. I mean, BMW Team 2 and Team G2 Esports, let's not forget, along with the 2 first they've had, Misano, along with them, and also Send It Racing, they both ended outside of the top 20. G2 Esports 24th, Send It Racing 27th, because on the very same lap, first lap of the race at Misano, they both had high success ballast, and they both were involved in incidents that were not of their making. Also, we saw last time out that Gregor Schill and I think it was Artur Camera that were behind the wheel of the car last time at the Hungaroring. They qualified down, I think it was P26, managed to get the car back up to 22nd, but it still kept them in the hunt. The damage limitation that BMW Team G2 Esports have shown in this season have shown that they can fight as best they can with 35 kilos of ballast, but it hasn't been easy.
And it's never going to be easy on this level of quality of competitors that we've got here at the SimGrid in Split 1. Also, just looking at the times coming in just now, we are looking at least 7 seconds a lap slower in these wet conditions. So far be it for me to be the one who tolls the bell here, but I think Harry Spears must be licking his chops and feeling quite happy with himself on that one, because I mean, pole position on the penultimate race of the championship, that's a heck of a result for the number 285 driver.
Yeah, and also that will help his teammate, Mr. Super Saturday, Marcel Fusi. They finished 28th last time out, and that was a race for them to forget, to be completely honest with you. 3 points at the end of it. Zahir Essa down in 31st position. So you can just see how that as soon as the rain came down, no one was going to have an opportunity to go to town on Harry Spears' lap, which, that's pretty much decided it. And looking at it from this perspective, the top 9 cars, which rounded out by Black Hawk Racing's number 81 Nissan of Chris Sever, all under 1 minute 28, and they got those laps in quickly. So I think the race is gonna give us more bang for our buck than qualifying is at the moment, because with these wet weather conditions, David, nothing's going to change. So Harry Spears and Marcel Fusi in the Sidemax Motorworks 285 Mercedes, they've literally it's a cinch for them.
Yeah, made it look so easy. A very good evening to Denise Pope in YouTube chat, saying that Christopher Streppen's car is a beauty and that she is not biased whatsoever. I think there might be a little bit of biasness in there. An amazing talent. I was almost lost for words there, and I was trying to put into words. I've seen quite a few of the designs that has been put out, and they are immaculate. As someone who's tried to do skin design and livery design, it is impossibly hard, and to get them looking as proper as that, it's a work of art.
It definitely is. I mean, the car that she's driving in More Female Races by Thrustmaster, which has its second round, I think it's next Monday actually. So that's really, really cool. Just like the silver and the black, how it all works with the Wild Things lettering on it. Good to see our friends from GTRC Endurance Team didn't have a good run at the first round of the Endurance Cup this past Saturday. Bless them. They're now up in 14th place, so Robin Pagardle behind the wheel. I felt really sorry for them after that race, because it wasn't easy for them, but they've provided us with some really good action here in Sprint Cup as well.
I'm sorry for giggling, Alex. I don't know if we can ask our cameraman Mike Yao to have a look on the back of that car. Has that been there all season? They've got a shocked Pikachu on the back of that car. I wonder if that's in relation to my little comment a couple of weeks ago.
Oh yeah, well, what was it? Within a week, the words "yeet" and "shocked Pikachu face" were mentioned by one Mr. David Christie. We haven't had the third thing come up yet, David, because you know what they say: good things always come in threes. Yeah,
the third one's not broadcastable, I'm afraid. But anyway, 4.5 minutes left to go in qualifying. And on cue, Robin Pagardle buckles under the pressure of our eyes and almost loses it at the final chicane. To be fair, absolutely nothing to lose, nothing really to gain in this session right now. It's a washout. It's a done deal. Harry Spears is, he might as well be sitting in the trailer, kicking his feet up, getting ready for the race at this one, because with 4 minutes left to go, this is signed, sealed and delivered, isn't it?
Indeed, and good to hear from a fellow countryman of yours, Mr. Ross McGregor, in the chat as well. He said, I wish I was racing, just a little bit busy at the moment, as Niles Noyox parks the BMW in the pit lane, and there it is, the shocked Pikachu face.
I love the fact you didn't know what that was, though. It's like, once you see it, it's like, it's the only way you can, like, if something's so, absurdly shocking, that's the only retort that you can come out with.
Yeah, well, I mean, to be honest with you, as soon as I saw it, I just went, yeah, okay, yeah, point taken. We'll leave it at that. Also, Jan Kaminski running in 14th position. Now they've been up and down the order sort of like during the course of this season as well, haven't they? Their best result was actually 16th at Misano. Actually, they've been rather consistent. They haven't been out of the top 20 all season.
Yeah, and again, consistency is where it matters. Coming back to a point, actually, I just wanted to very quickly touch on this, because I did mention it earlier that G2, BMW Team G2 Esports, have got a massive advantage right now, and here's how it works out. In qualifying, Niles Noyox has put that BMW in 6th place, that number 62. Their competitors in the championship, so they're in 2nd place in the championship. The leaders in the championship are away down in 26th place. Hamada Arkizi in that 404 H3 racing car, 26th place. Oh my goodness me, that is could quite possibly be championship So I wouldn't say deciding, because we've still got a massive round and a half, but I mean, that could be one of those things that we look back on and say, this is where it all changed.
Well, also, you've got to factor in, along with that, not just where H3 racing is at the moment. Look at the props from GTWR. They're down in 22nd position, ahead of Ben Hitz from Hout Racing Team, and I think it's a formality now, because not in terms of the championship, but just in terms of qualifying. This rain has just been unrelenting for the last 10 minutes. It's not going to stop, and then qualifying has become rather redundant here at Zolder, David, if I'm completely honest.
It is what it is. A minute 20 left to go. So as we run down the order then, it is, of course, the number 285 machine that is on pole position. That is, of course, Harry Spears in the Sidemax Motorworks car. Great job in the Merc to get that up there, and I think that's going to be a car that does very, very well tonight. Robbie Stapleford in second place in that number 22 machine, and Niels van de Kekkel in third. Florian Becker in the Porsche in fourth place. I think that Porsche is going to go backwards very, very quickly. Porsche notoriously struggles in the wet. Watch me be proved completely wrong on that one. Felix Repair in fifth place. Sixth place for Niels Noyaux in that G2 number 62. And then it's Tinko van der Velde. We saw him earlier in the 96 Ferrari. Callie Atkins in eighth place with the number 42 machine. Chris Sever in ninth place. And then it is Nick Babin rounding out the top 10. But I mean, qualifying, it's really been a bit of a social event, hasn't it, Alex? It's been a chance for me and you to catch up.
Yeah. Exactly. I mean, to be honest with you, it's nice to have a bit of a relaxing pace for qualifying, if I'm honest with you. But I think the race is going to be something different, because we now have qualifying hit 0 on the timer, so the check-in is out.
Yep, certainly is. So qualifying comes to an end then for the penultimate rounds of the SimGrid Sprint Cup Season 3. David Christie and Alex Goldschmidt taking you through all of the action over the next 90 minutes. And stick around, we'll have post-race interviews with the drivers as well. And we'll take you through all of the upcoming events here on SimGrid. If you are brand new here to the SimGrid, this is what we do. We do this an awful lot, and we love what we do. So if you enjoy what you're seeing, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and hit the notification bell as well, and you won't miss a thing. Head over to thesimgrid.com and keep an eye on all of our upcoming events. And if you think you've got what it takes, if you fancy getting a little bit of limelight yourself, take part in our championships. They're all free to enter, and just head over to thesimgrid.com and get yourself entered in. So yeah, we want to be talking about you. But there we go. Harry Spears takes pole position. Possibly the easiest qualifying session he is going to have in his sim racing career. 127.372 over Robbie Stapleford. Niels van de Kekkel in third place. Florian Becker in fourth place. Felix Repair in fifth. Sixth place for Niels Noyaux. Tinko van der Velde in seventh. Callie Atkins in eighth. Chris Sever ninth. And Nick Babin in 10th. But a stellar grid. We've got 31 cars ready to go for this race, Alex. And quite frankly, I hate saying it, but all hell's going to break loose.
Anyone remember the season opener at Snetterton? Watch out, because there could be a second coming, so to speak. And to be honest with you, turn one, Auster is a known crossfire spot here at Zolder. I mean, the Kleine Chicane, I've seen it before, where people have gone proper Knight Rider styley, going through, two wheels in the air. The Villeneuve chicane is going to possibly catch some drivers out. So there's a lot that we can take from the qualifying session, but it doesn't give a real true reflection on what is going to happen during the race.
Oh, for sure, because if qualifying had been run in the dry, I think we would have had a very, very different story. And Harry Spears, I think, would have been around about 8th, 9th or 10th on past pace. So we'll see what happens. But also, again, it doesn't matter what sort of pace you've got, Alex. It's being able to get past it, as you said. the track here at Zolder is so difficult in terms of the opportunities that are there. There are plenty of opportunities, but it's also very easy to defend against them, and it then leaves you with I hate to use the word yeet, but real last minute efforts, real proper send it moments through, say, like the chicane at Jackie X, or at the Kleiner chicane. It's going to be sort of lick the stamp, send it kind of moments that are going to get moves done. Otherwise, everybody's going to be looking in their mirrors for the majority of the race.
Yeah, you can't go into an overtaking situation if you're going to commit to that move at 50%. You need to be at either 100 or 110%, because if that move is on, you'll be able to get past quickly. If it isn't on, then there's either going to be an opportunity that you either brake and have to, or lift off the throttle in order to get out of the situation, or you outbrake yourself, and then all of a sudden you're at the impending wrath of the stewards, as we have seen throughout this system. So this season, and the minimum penalty that you get for avoidable contact is a drive-through. We have had stop go 30s being issued, and that's the most severe penalty that the stewards can actually provide for the drivers here.
Certainly is. So 3 minutes left to go then on the build-up to the race, the penultimate race of the season here for Season 3. Harry Spears on pole position ahead of Robbie Stapleford on row 1. Just looking down the grid here, some beautiful, beautiful cars turned out for this evening's race. 90 minutes, of course. 2 drivers is what is required. As Alex mentioned earlier, if teams do run with just one driver, they do get a time penalty added on to their race for them. So again, it does try to even things up, and if qualifying conditions were anything to go by, I wouldn't be wanting to do 90 minutes of Zolder here.
I think you've got to have you've got to look at the entire spread of this field. That Zahir Esser is at the back end of this field, and 31 cars after that initial fast dash to get a banker lap in, David, the entire field was covered by 1.746 seconds. And that's only on one effort. We could have seen that field even closer, where in actual fact we did see that positions being decided. I mean, looking at the number 25, Nick Babin ahead of Lucas Müller, it looks like, in the number 5, and it's a 1 race entry only for the second Halp Racing Team car. That was decided by 3 1,000ths of a second, but still for Spears to put it up front on a 1 minute 27.3 before the heavens opened, pretty good shout. And Stapleford and Van der Kerkel, you've got to keep your eyes on them. 2 teams that aren't racing tonight, like and subscribe team with Vasily Onufriev and Kirill Antonov not present, and also Omega Velocity 2, the number 295, which were due to have Marcus Littlewood and Lucas Romanek behind the wheel. They're not with us, so 31 cars. Oh, and that rain, this reminds me of a few weeks ago when Sprint Cup Season 3, David, started in the leafy Norfolk countryside, and what's more, it was absolutely raining cats and dogs.
Yeah, it looks like it's absolutely belting it down. We've got 3 drivers that are driving solo tonight. Of course, TF Racing 86's Manos Gerardis, Jardier Community Team 39, that is of course Jaroslav Honzig, and then Jan Willem van Ommen from the Dalkin Community 377 car. Now, they're all going to get a 10-second penalty, but I'm actually thinking on a night like tonight, that doesn't mean as much as, say, on a dry track. I think that's actually going to be less of an issue for them tonight.
I very much agree with that sentiment, David, because it's not about being the fastest out on track. With these wet weather conditions, this might actually give them a little bit of a breather, because if you're changing tyres, you're putting fuel in, that's going to give you a little bit more time to think, saying, right, okay, how's the strategy going to play out? How can I use this to my advantage? But the biggest thing that these drivers need to do is to get through turn 1 unscathed, and that's easier said than done.
Yeah, it certainly is. Of course, we saw Zolder in action just last week with more female racers. And again, at Zolder here, we saw the treacherous conditions that the track just itself, on a dry track, how treacherous and difficult this track can be. And I've got to be honest, I think we are in store for exactly the same sort of hijinks that we saw on that Monday night, the same type of incidents. And again, just showing you the track has so much to answer for, but my goodness me, does it make it epic to watch in such a enthralling offering that's in store for us here. So the cars making their way rounds on the formation lap then. We are just moments away from going green flag here at Zolder for a 90-minute race, the penultimate race of the season here for the SimGrid Sprint Cup. And I mean, if you're Harry Spears, Alex, if you're Harry, what is going through your head right now in a position that maybe we've not seen Harry on pole through this season? So, I mean, what do you think he's trying to prepare himself for?
I just need to get through the first lap unscathed and start building a gap, and I'll be fine. And the biggest thing is that nailing the start. That's going to be the key point for Harry Spears, because he's got Robbie Stapleford alongside, and that McLaren has plenty of torque. You then got Niels van der Kekelt and Florian Becker. So Spears knows what he's up against. Then you got Huppert and Neuox. I mean, that's a top six. That's a who's who here on the SimGrid. So yeah, Spears just needs to just to watch his six, but also make sure that he nails the start properly.
For sure. So the car's now going to get given the order by race control to go into double file. They do that down towards the chicane for the first time of asking to go green flag here. Very, very much excited. I hope you are, ladies and gentlemen. Hope you've got the popcorn in and ready to go as they come through the Jackie X chicane through towards the start-finish line, and we get ready to go racing again. You've got to be patient. I've got to hold myself back because it is quite far down to the green flag here, but Harry Spears is going to be absolutely gunning it ahead of Robbie Stapleford. Get ready. Let's go for 90 minutes here at Zolder, and away we go then. Excellent start from Harry Spears, and the car's still in double file as they go down towards turn one, and everybody through. It looked like a little bit of contact there from third place onto Robbie Stapleford. Gets going again, and indeed that's Niels van der Kekelt up the inside of Stapleford, and what a move. That was so close to actually pulling that one off, because he did have a little bit of contact on the inside of Stapleford, but Stapleford just held on round the outside, and God, van der Kekelt couldn't pull off that move, but everybody still line astern, and nobody died in turn one. What is going on, Alex?
Well, good move by Niels Neuox to get past Florian Becker before the kleine chicane, who now has Carly Atkins and the number 42 Omega Velocity racing car closing down on him. And then you've got the likes of Tinko van der Velde, Christopher, Lucas Müller, who has actually got past Sever up into P9, goes the number 5 car. And you can now see the Robbie Stapleford and also Niels van der Kekelt using the maximum amount of torque from the twin-turbo 4-litre V8 McLarens as they go through into Boulderberg. But Harry Spears actually in the older Mercedes, so not in the Evo, they're in the pre-Evo model. And what's more, Harry Spears is keeping Stapleford at bay. And you can see that there is still rain falling as they go through the Jackie X corner. Now across the line to complete lap number 1. But the good thing is that Harry Spears hasn't started to break away yet from Robbie Stapleford, but he's got up to just over 0.3 of a second. But keep your eyes on Niels Neuox. And it looks like there's been an incident involving the number 4. That is Ben Hitz, who's partnering with Christian Lertes. And that has brought out the first yellow flag, and that is a big hit for the number 4 Halp Racing Team Mercedes.
That's fine. It'll buff out. It's just a minor bit of suspension damage. These cars aren't cheap, you know, but that looked like a little bit of a move there from Robbie Stapleford, but Harry Spears has got that one covered off. But again, this non-Evo Mercedes really being put to its paces right now from Stapleford and Van de Kekkel. McLaren in the early stages of this race is going to have the legs, it's going to have the traction, and can absolutely do the Mercedes in terms of how nimble the cars are. But the Merc just has that raw straight line power. It just absolutely kicks in the beans and just goes for it down the straights, and you can see there opens up a little bit of a gap, but the McLaren's so late on the brakes they can just drift that car in and keep things going. Very impressed to see that 2 laps in and we've still got a lead group of what's that, about 10 cars that are still fighting this out. So yeah, this is going to come ahead very, very quickly. I think Robbie Stapleford's patience is going to run out very shortly, and you might see a bit of a move happening soon.
Stapleford's got 21 kilos on board that McLaren. Van der Kekel's got no ballast. For those wondering, for the 10-second penalty showing alongside Gerardus van Ommen and Honzik, that is for the mandatory 10-second penalty for being a solo driver tonight, as now Van der Kekel going through Canal, and he's right up the back bumper of Stapleford. You can just anticipate that Van der Kekel will send it at the earliest opportunity, but what's more, Florian Beckett is closing with them, and looks like there has been and it looks like there might have been an incident involving Alaric Ensign. We're going to go to a replay now. Now this is earlier on, and that was with Ben Hitz, and he comes across the front. That's of the 212. That's the NSN racing car. So yeah, I think that was all unfortunately a bit of a racing incident that might have been of Ben Hitz's making, because he tried to close the door, but there was not enough room to there wasn't room to close, really.
Oh, that's so unfortunate. I've been in that situation myself, and I can tell you exactly what's happened there. So the adrenaline, I'll come back to that actually. What a move by Callie Atkins up the inside there, fighting side by side. I think that is Rupert that's just given up 6th place. And have a look at that Merc in the back there. That's Silverlinen trying to fight it up the inside. Now things are starting to get a little bit of fighty, a little bit dicey further down the field, because Tinko van der Velde and Luca Mueller really giving it every which way right now, with the leader still toe-to-toe. Spears, Stapleford and Van de Kekkel, nothing to say. 2 by 2 into turn 1, surely not. What a move that must have been from the Ferrari up in front. That was that was Tinko van der Velde, and you hate to say it.
I mean, the thing is that was between Lucas Müller and Tinko van der Velde, and van der Velde's dropped like a proverbial stone. He's had to wait, so there's a yellow flag at the moment, and he's managed to get behind. That looks to be the Sim Racing Masterclass car, the 777, that had Zahir Esser behind the wheel, who is behind the wheel, but Lucas Müller has now got Carly I'm just wondering where he is at the moment. He's behind Carly Atkins. But look, it's the Harry Spears train going through the Villeneuve chicane at the moment, and Carly Atkins at the back of that. Lucas Müller rounds out the top 7 ahead of Felix Rupert, Chris Sever and Jonas Salvalainen. And to be honest with you, Jaroslav Honzik's done a pretty good job so far. He started down in 24th, he's up into 18th position. And what's more, I don't think, Jolier's not carrying any ballast, but you can see now that Harry Spears in the older style Mercedes is battling away with McLaren that's got 21 kilos of ballast. That's with Stapleford. And then you got Van der Kekkel. Noyox has definitely got himself in the hot seat, and just keep your eyes on Luke Whitehead at the moment, because he is now up into 19th position, having started in 26th, following Hamada Erquizi's difficult qualifying, let's say.
Yeah, for sure. The BMW that you noticed earlier of Niles Noyox for the G2 team BMW 62, 4th place. He's taken that place. We didn't see that because we were looking further down the field, but he's taken that place from Porsche Florian Becker. And I've got to be honest, the pace that he's got right now, he is going to be very quickly onto the back of Niels van der Kekkel and also Robbie Stapleford as well. But hats off to Harry Spears, right? We can see that everyone is all over him like a rash, and this is what I said. He's defending so well. This is a replay then of the... What's this? This will be the Ferrari on the Merc.
That's Maximilian Vedi, and then you also got that's the Tauro car just behind. And Vedi gets Vedi turned in. I think was of his own making a little bit there. As here we go back with Carly Atkins, closing in on Florian Becker. Now this is into the right-hander. Lukas Müller is closing, and that's going through Boulderberg. And now you can see the likes of Rupert Sever, Salvolainen, Babin, Gerardis, Van Orman, they are all starting to close. I mean, and looks like I've just heard that Maximilian Vedi has gone off the track once again. There is the 289. That's through the Villeneuve chicane. That front splitter looking rather second-hand. So Maximilian Vedi might get the virtual invoice in the in the post very, very shortly, because but you can just see now. You can see now that Neuox is absolutely going for it, but behind Florian Becker was being closed in. Lukas Müller has just put in the fastest lap of the race. Oh, he's gone sideways through Canal, closing up on the back bumper of Carly Atkins. Lukas Müller, it's a one-off for the number 5 Haupt Racing Team car. Müller's just put in a 1:33.045.
Yeah, just tie up a few loose ends. The Benjamin Hitz, the Ben Hitz incident. What happened with him? Adrenaline, pure straight out adrenaline. He was fighting for the car in front, had a little bit of a moment there, tried to save it, and then didn't see the car on his inside. Would be unlucky to get a penalty for that. He caused it himself. As we see Florian Becker really, really struggling in this Porsche. This is what I feared was going to happen. Also back to the Maximilian Vedi incident. When we saw in the replay, what actually happened is he was on the outside on the left-hand side, turning right. He lost traction in his back two wheels and they were turning, and you saw he was almost spinning into the car, and that's what sent him off to the left hand side there. So he didn't mean to make contact, but he lost traction in the rear wheels. That's what sent him into the contact there. But my goodness me, 10 minutes in, and what a race we have got going on. First to fourth split by just over 1 second right now, and it looks like that is going to be Florian Becker and Callie Atkins trying to join the party as well here.
Yeah, we've got just over half an hour to go until the pit stop window opens. It'll be open for 10 minutes, and then with 40 minutes remaining on the clock, it will then be a flat-out sprint. Well, as best of a flat-out sprint as we go on board. Great camera shots as always by our broadcast director Mike Yao, and this is actually behind the kidney grille on the right-hand side of the BMW M6 GT3. And you can now see that Niels van der Kekelt trying to put a move on Robbie Stapleford. Now that was going through into the Kleine Chicane. Now they're going to go over a slight bump here through the Sacrament Schelling before the next one on to the Buta before the Villeneuve chicane. You can just see that BMW looks really, really well planted in the braking zones.
Yeah, it's scary in the background. Imagine seeing that in your mirrors, this big hulking BMW in your mirrors, ready to pounce. It's quite an intimidating sight, but the McLaren's doing very well to keep clear of it just now, of Stapleford and Van der Kekelt. But again, Harry Spears, I mean, he's not once looked like he's been under threat from Stapleford or Van der Kekelt. He's made it look very, very comfortable right now, but Van der Kekelt, I've noticed actually something over the past couple of weeks with Van der Kekelt's driving. Niels is normally very cool, very chilled and very laid back, but this past couple of weeks in all of the different championships that we see him here in the Simcarid, I've noticed him being a little bit more prone to having contact with drivers after losing patience, after maybe being stuck behind driver for 4, 5, 6, 7 laps at a time. He doesn't seem to have that same patience and ability to wait that he did before. So I'm kind of hoping that doesn't strike again, but he's doing really, really well to hold on behind Robbie Stapleford. And I say hold on, that's completely the wrong choice of words, because he's not holding on. He's got the pace, if anything, to be up in front. But again, this just comes back to what we were talking about on the formation lap. Defend well, and you've got the place sealed.
That's exactly the point that you've proved right there, because obviously Harry Spears, he might just be just under 0.2 of a second ahead of Robbie Stapleford as they now go through into Buta, as Stapleford goes a very different line through the Villeneuve chicane. You know, Spears is doing what he needs to do. He's parking the car where he needs to park it, on the apex, and not make any mistakes going through. We now go on board with Felix Rupert heading down through from Terlam and down to Boulderberg. You know, it's about a case of just having patience. You can't rush, and especially with a track like this, you know, your patience and your consistency are your best two allies. And if you're patient with waiting until you can get out of the corner late enough in order to put the power down, like say coming out of here through Jackie X, you want to be consistent, not going over too much curb or clip the grass, because that's going to be wet, that's going to be muddy, and that's going to cause a problem with your tyres. There's so many different factors that these drivers have got going on through their 3000 IQ strategy tonight.
For sure. And what's that? Just an hour and a quarter left to go in the race. Barely 15 minutes gone in the race so far. It's been an absolute cracker. Remarkably drama-free, apart from a couple of incidents with Maximilian Vidi and with Ben Hitz. It has been very, very stable in a tumultuous season. It just, where's this been all year? This is what we want to see from season 3. And look at that, Callie Atkins absolutely throws it over the curbs there and puts Florian Becker under all sorts of pressure here right now. That BMW again onto the back of Niels van de Kekelt, but it is just this steady, disciplined and very, very well-mannered train that we've got going on right now.
Yeah, we've actually got two cars under investigation. The number 5 of Lucas Müller and also the number 33. That is the Zenith Esports car that has got Jose Lago Montero, who's got Daniel Naves alongside him tonight. And then we've also got a couple more come through. The 96 of Sidemax Motorworks. That is being investigated by Race Control, and then also the number 7. So 4 cars under investigation at the moment. And to be completely honest with you, it has been, I think, one of the most... Right, okay, first 2... we've had a drive-through penalty come through. So unfortunately, Lucas Müller will have to serve a drive-through penalty for aggressive driving on lap number 4. And that was an incident involving them and Sidemax Motorworks, which would have had Tinko van der Velde behind the wheel. Incident between the 777 and the 33. That is Sim Racing Masterclass Zahir Essa and the number 33 of Jose Lago Montero. No further action taken by Race Control. As through the Kleine Chicane, Robbie Stapleford gets a brilliant run on Harry Spears, but look behind. Has anyone got the Jaws music playing? Because you've still got Niels van der Kekelt and Niles Noyox right behind them. And that train looks to be getting bigger once again, because Florian Becker and Carly Atkins are separated by just under 4.5 tenths of a second.
Yeah, it's going to be fascinating to see how this next half an hour unfolds, given that we're going to be coming into pit windows very, very shortly, and that'll add a whole new dynamic. Here is Marius Tvorzidlo for Carbon Simsport Blue in 27th place, currently chasing down Lago Montero in that 33 Ferrari. Back to the lead battle. This is Niles Noyox on that big bad Beamer for G2 Esports, hunting down Niels van de Kekelt in the 47, McLaren in front. It's then Robbie Stapleford in second place, and Harry Spears still out in that commanding lead. Oh, late on the brakes is Niles. I mean, he really can turn that BMW on a sixpence as Lucas Müller gets the drive-through penalty out of the way. And good to see that, because in all grand scheme of things, I mean, if he can just get that out of the way, he might be able to recover quite quickly with that one. But there goes Enrico Truglio for Amiga E-Racing Team. That's a very, very early stop.
That's got a lot of front-end damage on there as well. I did notice on the timing that Truglio did have an accident not that long ago, and looks like there's been an incident involving the 404 with Luke Whitehead, possibly with Christoph Verstappen as well. Niles Noyox right up the back end of Niels van der Kekelt once again. And look at the gaps between first to 9th position, David. There's only a couple of those gaps that were just over. Well, the biggest gap is between Christopher and Felix Ruppert. That's 0.6 of a second. But no one in the top 9 is further than just over 0.6 apart from the car in front.
Yeah, I almost haven't seen this before from the sim grid, where the cars are so well behaved in an order for, I mean, more than 25 minutes. Usually somebody's trying to fire it down the inside. This is going to be the earlier incident. We've got a car losing control, spinning, spearing back onto the track. Oh my goodness me, that is one heck of a hit. And if that was real life racing, that would be the blue light in that GT3 machine flashing for sure. The impact on that, it was absolutely absurd. And what's that? Well, I think we're up to maybe 5 digits now, 6 digits in repair bills for that car.
At the very least, David. I mean, that depends on how much carbon fiber's had a bit of a. How much carbon fibre had a bit of a whack there, but the car that was also alongside was Zenith Esports again. So yeah, there's going to be quite a lot of changes, and I've just seen possibly that one of the other cars a little bit further down the order. You can see Manos Gerardis running solo at the moment, going toe to toe with Nick Babin. That's into the Villeneuve chicane. Oh, that was close. And Babin, spins the rear wheels and the tail goes sideways to the right-hand side. And Manos Gerardis says, thank you very much indeed, Nick Babin, for letting me through. And the amount of torque on that McLaren doesn't always give it much favours going through a chicane like that.
Oh, you hate to see it, do you? I mean, it's obviously it's amusing when you see incidents like that, but then you realise the context of it, and that is absolutely heartbreaking for Nick Babin. Did so well to defend that corner. That was one heck of a move from Gerardis around the outside. Oh, Gregory Haven up, getting the elbows out. There's the 41 we know and love. Back out on show tonight, the Magnum Racing Lara Sport Rosneft machine. Oh my goodness me, we're not mucking about, right? We're making up for 2 weeks of disciplined and polite driving by just getting it done. And to be fair, right there, I didn't see anything out of the ordinary there, just making sure that everybody around him knows exactly who's boss. But back to your front three again, and the weird thing is in any other kind of motorsports race, you'd call this almost processional, but this is far from it. This is absolutely exciting and nail-biting at the same time, because you just know you've got that feeling in your gut that something horrible is going to happen to one of these 9 cars very, very shortly, and you kind of just want to be watching to see exactly what happens here.
It is one of these... It's what I like to call a bit of a motorsport game of chess, because you don't know how things are going to work out. There's Luke Whitehead now. That's closing on Yaroslav Honzik, who also got a bit of a taste of Grigory Ivanov's elbows out going through the final corner a lap ago. And it's about who's going to decide when they're going to make those moves, and it's about strategy, because people might say yes, it's processional. But the anticipation, the waiting, because you can now see that Carly Atkins has actually gone best part of nearly 2.5 tenths of a second quicker than Lars Noyox. So that's where you can see that it's sort of like peaking and troughing. It's going up and down like a yo-yo on a string. And Harry Spears, we're now on to lap number 14, David. He's done exactly everything right so far, touch wood. Robbie Stapleford, if he did not have that 21 kilos of ballast on that car, I think might have been past him within probably within the first few laps. Right, we've got another couple of penalties coming through, and Sidemax Motorworks in the 96 gets a drive-through penalty for avoidable contact on lap number 5, and car number 7 gets a 15-second time penalty. That's Carbon Simsport Blues, Marius towards Zidlo. That was contact between them and the 36 of GT Omega RPM Esports on lap number 7. So a 15-second time penalty, which they will serve when Ford Zidlo hands over to Damian Paulus.
Wow. Just going on back to that conversation about processional as well, it's absolutely not an accurate description, because processional's where you've just got maybe say like 10-15 cars just going round and they're all maybe like 3, 4, 5 seconds apart, and it's a done deal, the race is over. You're watching this and like you're watching Spears, Stapleford, Kekelt, Noyox and Atkins, right? 5 of them so close, and you know, watching their driving style, watching the way that they are hustling those cars, every single one of those drivers is absolutely on the limit and maybe a little bit beyond the limit as well, and you kind of appreciate all these little micro battles that are going up. But also, one thing that we noticed with the weather, Alex, is the fact that we saw the sign up there from the beginning that in half an hour it was going to calm down, it was going to get slightly easier. Now we can see that in the next half hour, the forecast for the next half hour is at some point it's going to ease up, the clouds are going to start parting, and maybe we're going to see the track temperature start to rise up as well, because of course it's early in the morning here virtually at Zolder, 8:30 in the morning, so you've got to expect that the more heat that you get in that track, it might be difficult for those cars on wet tyres. So I mean, this could be one of the most pivotal pit stops we have in this championship.
Because if you make the switch from wet to dry weather tyres, it's going to cost you, you're automatically going to be in that pit stop 30 seconds stationary in your pit box. And it's about those that time it to perfection. You know, it's not going to be easy, far from it, because not only is it the drivers out there relaying things back to their teammates saying, right, okay, this is what the conditions are like at the moment, looks like weather might ease up. It's going to be interesting to say the least, as Ivanov gets a little bit of a touch there, I think, from Honzik coming out of the Jackie X corner, or maybe the slightest of love taps there. But you can just see that, yeah, that could change everything, and that could also put into prospect how the championship is going to evolve ahead of Suzuka in 2 weeks, because that could really turn it upside down and on its head.
Yeah, it certainly can. So many implications coming from tonight, and these championship points are going to change all the time. We will try our very best to give you a rough idea of how they are looking and keep you informed of that one. Just watching these cars coming through, this is a cracking battle that we've got. Oh, side by side, there goes Honzik up the outside of Grigory Ivanov there. Can't make it work, and that leaves vulnerable to Luke Whitehead. Luke Whitehead in the 404 Ferrari H3 Racing, just making his way round the outside. Might have the inside of the corner. He's going to try and make the move. Oh, there's contact! Luke Whitehead into the sides of Jaroslav Honzik. No harm, no foul, I think, there, because both the cars just drop a little bit in time. But that was a very, very bold move, and I think we're now starting to see patience and little tempers start to fray here.
Frustration and impatience is not what these drivers need now. Very good point from Back Attack, saying that with a potential change in the weather, that train could be lasting a little while longer, especially if drivers hold on to make their pit stop. Now, obviously, in about 14 minutes, the pit stop window is going to open for 10 minutes and 10 minutes alone. So, realistically, if the weather's going to change, David, it is about hanging on for as long as you dare. But look what's happening at the front of the field. Harry Spears has started to break away from Robbie Stapleford. The 21 kilos of ballast on that McLaren might be starting to hinder the McLaren in certain points on the circuit. So Harry Spears is doing what he needs to do to keep the car out in front and then hand it over to Mr. Super Saturday, Marcel Fusi.
And we wait with bated breath, because we know Marcel's very, very quick behind the wheel. But there's that BMW again, looking very, very menacing. And again, a lot of this is showmanship. A lot of this is to try and get your car or your personality into the head of the driver in front. You can see there, slap bang in the middle of the screen. This is the opposite side of the cockpit from what the driver sees. And in the driver's eye, he's got two things going on. He's got Niels van de Kekkel in front of him, but he also has the intimidating Merc behind him of Callie Atkins. So you're kind of splitting your vision. And what happens is, if Callie starts weaving from, say, left to right, your eyes automatically, as human beings, we're drawn to movement. Your eyes dart up to the mirror, and you start losing concentration. If you do that in a a particularly important spot like a braking zone, very, very easy for you to make the driver in front lose concentration. Oh, and Callie Atkins right on the back bumper. If that's not intimidation, nothing else is right now, but handles it so well. Niles Neuhaus trying to keep that BMW going in a straight line. But that's exactly why I get asked this a lot, Alex, about why drivers flash their lights. It's exactly the same reason. It's to draw attention. It's to distract the driver in front. And it sounds obvious about distraction, but when you think about how it actually happens, the flashing then happens in, all three of your mirrors, in your rear view and your left and your right, and your brain really struggles to concentrate on that and the road in front. But Niels Noyox has maybe a little bit of an overlap here on Niels van de Kerkel down into the right-hander here, through into the chicane. They're side by side, and Van de Kerkel has to try and take to the outroad. There goes Callie Atkins around the outside. What a move, but I think Niels Noyox might still have the inside. A little bit of touching and bumping, but what a dogfight we've got going on there. And that started from a move from Niels Noyox there, but left him vulnerable, and I think he's just going to hold on for that position. But now it's Callie Atkins who's vulnerable, because here comes Florian Becker, but has to back out of it.
Yeah, Felix Ruppert just behind him in the XL Racing by Renvelten car, partnering with Maximilian Volmuth. Chris Sever just behind Jonas Salvalainen, and then there's also Manus Gerardis. So, and Van der Kerkel has had a bit of a moment on the circuit, and you can see now that he's lost quite a considerable amount of time. That's extended to just over 8.5 tenths. Now I've just seen that was a moment. Oh, now Carly Atkins has ended up pointing right, and that was going through Stellenbosch. Because he was, I think it looked like Noyox went a little bit wide. Carly Atkins went up the inside. I'd like to see a replay of that, as Stapleford once again closing on the back bumper of Harry Spears, and Niels van der Kerkel is he's reeling them back in ever so slightly, but not to the point where he's going to be right up the back bumper of Stapleford. But with the fact that he's got no ballast on that McLaren, could help him as moment there for Stapleford going through the Villeneuve chicane, and that's meant that Van der Kerkel has really closed up on the 22.
Yeah, cracking effort there, but I've just seen the 911 bringing out the yellow flags there. That was Jarno Kausch. I saw out the corner of my eyes Callie Atkins coming into that corner, what appeared to be, and again it might just be me picking up things wrong for the split second, coming into that corner way too hot, and I wonder if Callie has tried to slam on the brakes and hit that BMW and spun themselves off. Let's have a look at the replay here. That's certainly what I think's happened. Late on the brakes, and the cars just hit the BMW in front and spun round. But we'll see exactly what happens here. Here's Niels Noyox then in the G2 Esports number 62 machine, making his way around the next part of the lap, and it is straight into the corner. That's exactly what happens. Callie Atkins too hot into the corner, and that wasn't even an overtaking attempt there, just late on the brakes. And wow, that was I'm quite pleased with that one, actually.
Yeah, another penalty. Now this has gone to Zenith Esports, so Jose Lago Montero will have to serve a drive-through penalty for avoidable contact, and that was with a collision with Enrico Truglio. That was the replay that we saw earlier on, as now Robbie Stapleford closing once again on Harry Spears. Just under 9.5 minutes to go until the pit stop window opens, and now Thibaut Props is closing. That's Carly Atkins actually in front of him, so Props has lost the place, and that would have been through the Kleine Schikane. We've had also another incident now confirmed as a racing incident, and this was on lap 12 between cars 911 and 39. That was the Jardier community car with Jaroslav Honzik and the GTRC endurance team with Robert Pagardel behind the wheel. And also there was a slight incident between Pagardel and Whitehead on lap number 13, also declared a racing incident. And David, to be honest with you, I'm waiting for one thing and one thing alone, because we've got just over 8.5 minutes to go into the pit stop window. I think that if those conditions are going to start drying out a little bit here at Zolder, I think we could see other drivers maybe going for the long haul. So eke that pit stop out as far as they dare, as Niels van der Kerkel nearly got up the inside of Robbie Stapleford going through Stellenbosch.
I think you're absolutely spot on with that one. The question is, how long did the pressures last day. Wet tyres are notoriously difficult to keep the pressure in them, especially as you go over the curbs, and you'll see some of the drivers are going to struggle, especially if they've been a little bit more aggressive through their stints. But that is a huge run from Van de Kekkel, going to have the run up the inside. Oh, the contact on Robbie Stapleford. Oh my goodness me, and that is very, very naughty. And again, I said it about 5 laps ago, this is what we've seen now from the past couple of weeks. Van de Kekkel, he only has a certain amount of patience in him, and then he's just going to start sending it left, right and centre. That is not going to be the only time in the next 20 minutes you're going to see Van de Kekkel trying that now. He's getting very, very desperate here.
Yeah, but what this is also providing, Niles Noyox has got the ringside seat. He's just waiting for something to happen, as I've just seen Carly Atkins up the inside of Florian Becker just a second ago when the move has happened. So Becker has lost out. That was going through Boulderberg as Niels van der Kekkel again trying to get past Robbie Stapleford. This is coming out of Jackie Hicks. Oh, there's a little touch from behind, right front to left rear. And now this means that Niles Noyox has just got to wait, bide his time. Van der Kekkel going to look going up the inside through as the number 47 goes through. But Stapleford, does he have the opportunity to get the switchback going through into Stenenwacht? He does not. Drops to third. And Niles Noyox has to just keep that BMW out of not just the back bumper of Robbie Stapleford, but possibly out of the walls on the circuit.
Wow. Well, again, there you go. Patience, just not one of his fortes, is Niels van der Kekkel. And, you know, he got the move done, made it stick and did it in a very, very clean way. But this has meant that Harry Spears can go off the road. Oh, look at this, Niles Noyox now with a cracking run again round the outside. I don't think it's going to come to much, but he does try to have the pace. Is he going to send it up the inside? Thinks better of it and tucks in to keep a good line through that chicane. So important to get a good exit out of that chicane. And that BMW really does have the raw power to just try and get past that McLaren. He's trying everything he can, but with 56 minutes left to go in the race, now we're starting to see some rolls of the dice from these drivers, because they've got to really go. And look at that, Harry Spears again is now increasing his lead. He is starting to go away with it, 2.2 seconds off to the good.
I think it's just that he's probably been listening to us, David. Patience and consistency, and now that's 2.2 seconds. Looks to possibly be a little bit, well, no, Niels van der Kekkel has started hunting him down, and van der Kekkel has got that gap down to 1.968 seconds. And the most astounding thing is, oh, and I've just heard that the number 7, that is towards Seedlow, has just wrecked it in the wall a little bit earlier on the circuit. So must be massive damage for the Carbon Simsport Blue McLaren 720S. But yeah, oh, that front end is looking rather ropey, and so's the back end as well. I don't think that car's having a great time at the moment. And the number 7, David, is currently down in 26th position.
Yeah, I've got to be honest, the resale value on that car is not looking very good right now. I don't think he's going to get much on one of the famous auction sites for that one. But Niles Noyox getting a cracking run in that BMW onto the back of Robbie Stapleford here in your penultimate round of the Simgrid Sprint Cup Season 3. David Christie alongside Alex Goldschmidt taking you through the final hour of this race. And that looked a little bit like Van der Kekkel going very, very deep into that corner there. Certainly lost a little bit of momentum. But I wonder if Harry Spears is having to overdrive that car and maybe push a little, or if these tyres are starting to get a little bit past their best right now, because of course you're seeing some of the drivers taking alternative lines to stay away from that drying line that is on the track, maybe try and cool the tyres down a little bit. Of course, when you're a little bit more aggressive, when you push the cars a little bit harder and you push the tyres a little bit harder, that means that the temperature goes up a little bit, and you start seeing things like that from Robbie Stapleford, the car getting a little bit squirrely. The other thing to remember as well is that Harry Spears was a bit of a bottleneck from the opening part of the race. We'll come back to that in a second. Here's for Seedlow, and this looks like he's going to lose it all by himself, and there is no worse feeling in sim racing than stacking a car by yourself. Doubly so if it's a team event, because you've then got to have that awkward conversation on voice chat. But Robbie Stapleford is having a bit of an awkward chat right now with Niles Noyox, who is breathing all down his neck in that McLaren, doing a cracking job of holding off all the pressure right now. But that BMW, very, very respectful, and it almost seems like it's just waiting its time.
Yeah, I mean, towards Zolder, going back to that replay, that was coming out of Turlarman, and that's not a place where you want to stack it into the barriers, because it wasn't just the front bumper, it was the rear bumper that got something as well. Okay, a penalty coming through, drive through for the number 699. I haven't talked much about them. Send It Racing, and there was an incident between them and the 214 of NSN. So the 699 gets a drive-through penalty for avoidable contact. An incident between the 911 GTRC Endurance Team car and the number 41 of Grigory Ivanov in the Magnum Racing Lada Sport Rosneft car. Racing incident on that particular occasion. And yep, so it is Charlie Crossland that will have to serve the drive-through penalty. We've got just over 2 minutes to go, as Niels van der Kekelt has caught up with Harry Spears, and he nearly went banzaiing up the inside, going through into Lucien Bianchi-Bocht. Meanwhile, Jan Kaminski has just been passed by Luke Whitehead.
Cracking move from Whitehead to get that move done on the Lexus. But the story of the night so far is here with Niels van der Kekelt freeing himself up from that battle with Stapleford, who's catapulted him up into prime position for this lead. Thibaut Prosto fancies a little bit of Florian Becker in that Porsche, is not to be, but unusually Thibaut Prost has forced Becker to the outside, is going to have the inside line, but then has to take that right-handed contact. Predictable, and the two of them struggle to get themselves stuck in time, and what was the world's slowest ever accident unfolds in front of your very eyes, and Florian Becker is going to have to calm himself down if he's not just going to accidentally let the brakes go and just completely torpedo. Yeah, that is not what you want to see. Back with third place though, Niles Noyox. How he has just got past Robbie Stapleford, that almost completely got past me there. Robbie Stapleford now relegated into fourth place there, so it's happened. G2 Sports, and Niels van der Kekelt, he's not going to want to do that too often. Did you see that, Alex? He took a little nibble of that inside curb and massively unsettled that car.
Yeah, nearly snap-on understeer for that McLaren. That nearly went straight on and could have hit the barriers going through into the approach into Stellenbosch. So Niels van der Kekelt very, very lucky, as Charlie Crossland now serves his drive-through penalty. But yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, Harry Spears, he's just parking the car where he needs to. Through into the Kleine Chicane. Van der Kekelt, if he gets a good run. Now, considering the fact that in comparison with the Evo version of the Mercedes-AMG GT3, Harry Spears has actually got a further 50 Newton meters of torque deficit. So it's 600 from the non-Evo in comparison with the Evo version. And then you've got the torque machine, the McLaren 720S GT3 that produces over 700 Newton meters of torque. And no matter what Van der Kekelt throws at Harry Spears is now able to capitalise. Pit stop window for round 5, season 3 of Sprint Cup, David, officially open here at Zolder.
Yep, and who's going to be the first one to take it? Both cars side by side on the final chicane. Right the outside goes Niels van der Kekelt, and that is one of the moves of the season right there. They're side by side as they go across the line. I think the Merc is going to have it on the straight line speed, but side by side with the McLaren, it's going to be to the inside for Harry Spears, but around the outside tries to go Niels van der Kekelt as well. He's going to have the inside line. Little bit of contact there. What a move from Niels van der Kekelt. Absolutely breathtaking that was to take the lead of the race. Amazing stuff there, Alex.
Yeah, but you have to give credit where credit is due for Harry Spears to hold on for nearly 27 laps. Now this is where we see Stapleford and Noyox. Now this is going through Buta into the Villeneuve chicane. So Stapleford takes just a little bit of curb there. They go out through in towards Turlarman. Oh, he runs wide, going through into Turlarman, and that allows Niles Noyox to go up the inside without any problem at all. And now it's a four-way scrap for the lead because Van der Kekelt hasn't gotten away from Spears, but Spears has got Noyox and Stapleford breathing down his rear exhaust pipes.
Yeah, and that move has to happen now because while he hasn't taken the gap right now, it will happen. Spears will start to drop back a little bit from Van der Kekelt, and he will become a mobile chicane to Noyox, to Stapleford, and even to Repair in 5th place there. Callie Atkins, though, what a recovery drive, getting back up into 6th place already. Dropped down, I think that was about 10th place that we saw Callie down in earlier on, so great job for the number 42 driver. Here is Jaroslav Honzig side by side with Jan Willem van Ommen, like taking candy from a baby. Jaroslav Honzig takes the place, says thank you very much, and leaves Jan Willem van Ommen very, very vulnerable to Thibaut Prost as well. But that Merc is still the bane of the existence to everyone behind him. Niles Noyox all over the back of him. Thibaut Prost up the inside and keeps that move done. What a great start that is from Jardier, from P24 into 9th place. That is 15 positions that he's gained in half an hour. And this is Luke Whitehead, slightly less graceful than perhaps Thibaut Prost and Jaroslav Honzig in trying to get past Jan Willem van Ommen, but let's see if he can make it stick. This is back with the BMW of Niles Noyox for G2 Esports. 46 minutes and 45 seconds left to go in the race. 6 3/4 minutes left in the pit window, and nobody has blinked yet. That track is drying at a rate of knots. I can't see any more rain, Alex.
No, neither can I, but one of the things I am now going to say is that this championship will go right down to the wire in 2 weeks' time, David, because Luke Whitehead is now up from P26 to P11. So I've got two words that I regularly use: game on.
And it absolutely is. Here's a little dilemma for you, Alex. It's coming up to the pit stop window. Let's imagine you're racing. What's your call going to be? Are you staying on wets or are you going on dries?
Well, to be honest with you, if the track's still damp, it's a tough call to make, because there might be a dry line coming, but the safer option to have that little bit more pace, if you're going to chance it, I'd stick on wets, and if we needed to go onto slicks later on in the race, that might be worth the risk versus reward scenario.
Ding, ding, ding. That is exactly the right answer, because taking the wets just now, you're going to keep to the best possible pace that you can in this bit. And then, like you say, if you do get that dry line appearing and it does become stable, you're going to save yourself 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 seconds a lap over everyone else. You'd make that time back in about 4 or 5 laps. So watch for if anybody does take that gamble on a dry track. I mean, look, you can see a rubbered part of the track already appearing. So as soon as that rain stops properly, that will start getting very, very toasty for those wet tired drivers. But this is what I was saying about Harry Spears. I mean, he is still very, very fast. He's only a second and a half behind Niels van der Kekelt, but look at how much Niles Noyox and Robbie Stapleford are just chomping at the bit to try and get past right now, and it's just not happening. 4.5 minutes left to go. I think all these drivers are pushing this to how far they can actually get this right now.
Yeah, I mean, because the thing is, we're running in the 134s as Noyox looking up the inside there through on Harry Spears. Oh, that was very close indeed. But Spears has been running in the mid anywhere between a 134.3 and a 134.6 or so he's kept that, the tyres in the optimum temperature window. One of the other things, alluding to the answer that I gave you, is the fact that if I'm running in a team race, I'd want my teammate actually managing, just keeping an eye on what the rest of the field are doing, because you want them to be your spotter when it comes to slicks, what the times are when someone goes onto the slicks. When is the right time to chance it? As now Niles Noyox, this is going through Sacrament, shelling through into Buta. He nearly got the run going through into the Villeneuve chicane on Harry Spears, but again Harry Spears defends. But look, Niels van der Kerkhout has bolted like a scalded cat on a hot tin roof, David. His gap between him and Harry Spears, nearly 2.2 seconds.
I always love the analogies that myself and you and many other motorsport commentators use. They always involve some sort of cruelty to animals. I don't know where they came from, but very, very pleasant imagery there. 43 minutes left to go in the race. This is on board on the roof cam of Niles Noyox. Fires up the inside, thinks about it, makes the move. Oh, that was never going to work. A silly, silly move from Niles Noyox. There was no need for that. Patience would have been the better course there, but that instead leaves him vulnerable.
That's Felix Ruppert behind him.
Yeah, Stapleford's into the pits.
Oh my goodness me, Niles Noyox has just gotten away with that. Yeah, I don't know how he's gotten away with that, but he's a very, very lucky individual.
But I don't understand that at all. Hopefully we'll obviously get a replay queued up on that. But he had the chance, right? He jinked out to the left-hand side, saw the move wasn't going, but still decided to keep his foot in anyway and try it. I just don't understand why he wouldn't slam on the anchors and try and stop that from happening, because that could have been a lot worse. And if I'm honest, he's lucky that Harry Spears kept going, because that would have been a slam dunk penalty. It still might very well be for careless driving, but we'll wait and see on that one. But Felix Ruppert doing a cracking job of catching up in that number 16 machine for XL Racing by Renvelt and getting a sniff of the podium right now, and he's definitely within a chance right now. So is Manos Gerardis, and possibly even, dare I say it, Jaroslav Honzig. But the number 25 is off. That is Mikhail Nowakowski in the McLaren, and has severely binned that car. That is quite an interesting place to do it. I think that's on the Villeneuve chicane. Here we go, this is up the inside. Yeah, so he thinks better of it and just keeps the car in there for good measure. That was never going to work, and yeah, that is slam dunk, case closed. Yeah.
I think I'm going to say, oh now look, they're all coming into the pits. Van der Kerkhout, Spears and Noyox and Ruppert. I can understand Noyox's tactic from trying to get past Harry Spears is to actually get ahead of him before the pit stop. And now we see Alex Buncombe in the number 22 McLaren 720S Rocket Sim Sport. So firstly, you've now got to see that the top 8 have pitted. Gerardis and Honzik are serving their 10-second penalties because of the fact that they're solo drivers tonight. And the pit stop window is closing in about 45 seconds. We've still got Maximilian Verdi in the 289 and also Jose Lago Montero. They should be coming in this lap. And you can just see now, this is going to give Alex Buncombe an opportunity, because he's now coming down towards the Jackie X corner. And the biggest question is well, there's Boothby now going out of the pits. Oh, and now there's been a jump there. Have you seen that, David?
Yeah, I certainly have.
That was G2 getting up ahead of XL Racing by Renvelt and Sidemax Motorworks 285, and they've all come out behind Alex Buncombe.
They have, but more importantly, they've got past that Mercedes that was of Harry Spears in that 285. So again, that'll now be piloted by Marcel Fusi, Mr. Super Saturday right now. It'll be very interesting to see what he can do in that Mercedes. But there is Alex Buncombe in the Jensen Team Rocket number 22 machine, just making its way around, of course, replicating that real life livery from the team. I do love that, such a nice looking car. But here is Maximilian Walmuth under attack from Marcel Fusi, who that's an unorthodox unusual line from the chicane there, but Johnson behind in that 42 Omega Velocity, taking over from Callie Atkins. What a recovery drive from that team. That could be a top 5 finish easily, possibly even a podium. Oh, and there's contact on Maximilian Walmuth. All hell is kicked off after the pit stops, and that was 100% on Marcel Fusi. Late on the brakes. Didn't expect that Ferrari to brake as early as it did. Contact was made, spun around, and race control are going to be on the hotline very, very soon.
Well, they have been on the hotline as well, because incident between cars 200 and, well, I think that was 239 or 289, I'm not too sure which one it was, and the 699. Send It Racing get another penalty, and that would have been when I think probably Charlie Crossland was behind the wheel, and they've just had a warning. So no penalty for them this time. As you can see, that there's a bit of a battle going on here with Mark Balzer, Richard Lindhorst, and the GT Omega RPM Esports car that's got Sheldon Muscat behind the wheel. And mistake there from Mark Balzer, and that was going through Erster as Muscat looks to try and get up the inside of Lindhorst. And then you've got Jonas Salvalainen and then Raymond Mooney just behind as well. So this is an absolutely cracking battle with just over 37.5 minutes to go. Oh, well, the floodgates have opened, Mr. Christie.
Yeah, they certainly have, but as predicted, that Porsche really struggling in these conditions. Once it clears up in the next 5 minutes or so, it's going to be a little bit better. And Sheldon Muscat gets sent, hip-checked over the chicane. That's going to send him wide, and that's unfortunate because Richard Lindhorst has now put Sheldon Muscat into danger there from Salvalainen and Baltzar, but Salvalainen in that car still. Bit of a difficult pit stop for them, but here we go. This is the instant earlier on from Fuzi, late on the brakes, tags the rear end, and yeah, that's a slam dunk incident right there. No malice in it whatsoever, but it was just never going to happen. Locked up the brakes, and yeah, it's done. Great move done there as well from Sheldon Muscat as the Porsche weaves one way and the other, desperate to try and hold on to that position, forces Salvalainen to go around the outside. That's never going to happen as well. That is good defensive driving from that Porsche, but I've got to feel it's a bit of a folly as we see the Audi up in front. That's Jaroslav Honting trying to make a move on Yannick Hamer as well. We just caught a glimpse of that one, and what a move from Jaroslav Honting. Gets the position from that Lexus, and wow, this is a bit awesome now. We had 45 minutes of, it was a good race, it was a good, solid, respectful race, and now everybody's just knocking lumps out of each other. George Boothby out in front, taking over from Niels van de Kekkel ahead of Alex Buncombe. That gap now 4 seconds, and this is looking very good for the McLaren. However, conditions about to start drying up, and that is still within the realms of changing to slick tyres.
Yeah, just had some news, David. The number 25 of Carbon Simsport, the pairing of Mikhail Nowakowski and Nick Babin, have unfortunately retired. So if you are in the top 30 out of 31 runners, you will score points as Hamada Erquizi now goes into battle with Andrea Benedetti, who's taken over from Thibaut Probst in the GTWR number 99 Ferrari, as they now go through into the Jackie X corner and go across the stripe, line astern. So two cars that both have 3.9 litre twin turbo V8 engines, pushing around 700 newton meters of torque. And who's ahead of them? Well, it's the number 81 of Black Hawk Racing's Sasha Glatter, now in the car, having taken over from Chris Sever.
Yeah, there was a bit of a conversation in YouTube chat earlier on that I noticed about why doesn't anybody race the GTR, and quite honestly, it takes a real driver to race the GTR. It is a handful. It is an absolute beast of a car. It's unwieldy. There are quicker wins available. The McLaren is easier to drive. The Ferrari's easier to drive. The Porsche is faster to drive, but the Nissan, it doesn't offer much in terms of approachability. But my God, if you've got that thing hooked up, it is just so fast and so easy to get yourself a decent result. So a car that we don't see enough of. A great car, but yeah, just underappreciated. I think that's the reason. Jan Willem van Ommen for Dalking Community. Sole driver tonight, of course. Dan King not racing there tonight. Just ahead of that battle in the Ferraris. Here's the live team standings. Handsome lead going into the final round of a whopping 7 points. It doesn't sound that much, as H3 Racing drop down into second place. So G2 Esports do the unthinkable and the BMW makes its way to the top of the standings, and then H3 Racing, XL Racing, you can see there in third place, and then fourth place is GTWR Racing Team.
Yeah, very much the case, and it's looking rather interesting. I've just found out some information here, David. All right. Oh, Marcel Fuzi's got a drive-through penalty. Before I start going through, that I would imagine that's probably going to be that slam dunk penalty you mentioned earlier on when he tagged with Maximilian Volmuth earlier on. And I've just been informed of a bit of information here, David. This is rather interesting. The cars in second, fourth, and ninth are the three in the top 10 on wet weather tyres.
Oh, well, that's quite a bit of info. As up the inside goes H3 Racing's 404 of, that's Hamada Erkizi gets the move done. Little bit of bumper scraping at the end there from Benedetti, but all in all, that was a clean move. And again, you said this earlier on, massive respect from both drivers, both the overtaking driver and the defending driver as well, because you can fight too hard and you can cause an accident, but these drivers know when the move is done, and they let the move happen, because once it's midway, there's nothing you can do. If it's like they're on Lindhorst, you can block and you can move to the lines and defend your position. But once they're alongside and once they're beside you, it's then in the lap of the racing gods whether or not that move is going to take place.
Yeah, also we've had another retirement, the number 33 of Jose Lago Montero and Daniel Naves from Zenith Esports. They have become the second confirmed DNF, so down to 29 runners and riders as Richard Lindhorst holding on for dear life ahead of Jan Willem van Holmen. But also one of the biggest things here, as there's Rob Taplin closing in on Mark Balzer from Rutronic E-Racing, and that's for 18th position on the road as they're going through into... Hang on a second. Rob Taplin, that was a hell of a move. That was going round the outside of Stedenbach, and he's got it done by Canal. Bravo, good sir. One hell of a move, and that's with just over half an hour in the race to go.
That was an excellent move. However, I'm a little bit confused by Lucas Muller. It's so early on the brakes on the, excuse me, not Muller, it was Balzer in the Audi. So early on the brakes halfway around the corner, and that's how Rob Taplin just fired round the outside. So great move there, and that is never going to work, is it, guys? Andrea Benedetti and it was that Seb Blatter. Yeah, that's a shame. It was never going to work. It was up the inside. There was no room there. Car had to turn in, and yeah, you hate to see it.
Well, that's given a bit of Jaroslav Honzik has ended up getting past the pair of them, it looks like, as Richard Lindhorst now is battling away, and that was with Raymond Mooney. A little bit of tussling between the pair of them going through into the Jackie X corner, and it looks like Benedetti has just been handed a drive-through, I believe. I would imagine that's probably more than likely the quickest acted upon penalty that we might have seen coming from race controllers. Lindhorst and Mooney get into a little bit of not so much of a touching embrace, it was more like a touch fest there. So Mooney's just been flashing lights at Lindhorst, and yeah, there's been a drive-through penalty straight away, slam dunk. Yeah, Benedetti gets a drive-through penalty, and Jaroslav Honzik up from 24th to P9. He's running solo today, and he's ahead of, that looks like Benedetti's now ahead of Sasha Glatter, as Lindhorst, he straight lines the second half of the Kleine Schikane to keep away from Raymond Mooney. So that Porsche's really struggling, and now Sheldon Muscat closing in on Sasha Glatter for what is P11. And we don't really speak... Normally when we speak about Sheldon Muscat, he's normally in the wars, isn't he?
I'm glad I heard you said wars there. For the unfortunate thing is I heard you saying in the walls, and look, there's no denying that Sheldon is a fast driver, and it's frustrating because obviously we see these drivers week in, week out on multiple different championships, And Sheldon is like the world's biggest accident magnet. And very rarely is it his own fault. And what on earth is that from Sasha Glatter? That was that was bizarre, because it's not really defended the position. And if anything, you've just slowed yourself going down out to turn one. That is the most... Yeah, that's a wild strategy. Right, Marcel Fusi into the pits for the drive-through. I don't really understand what happened there with Sasha Glatter, unless it was some sort of problem with the car oversteering. But I think it was like weaving left to right to kind of block the draft, in which case look at how much of a gap that he's lost himself.
One of the more interesting things here, David, Luke Whitehead started in the 404 H3 Racing Ferrari down in 26th position. Just peep your eyes at where Hamada Arquizi is now. P5.
Wow, and wet tyres, so he's going to have to pit, you'd think. However, another interesting little fact is, remember, just having a look actually, let me just pop my head out the virtual window here. Yep. It's stopped raining, Alex. It's we can take our raincoats off and go outside again. George Boothby, though, joking aside, that gap is now down to 2.2 seconds. Remember, that was 4 seconds about 5 laps ago. So Boothby is under pressure from Buncombe, and Buncombe's last lap was 0.7 of a second faster. We have got a race on our hands. 27 minutes left to go. I'd be jumping into the pits for slicks.
Oh, definitely. That 30 seconds, doing it now rather than later, will not hurt you. As Benedetti now goes into the pits to serve his drive-through penalty, and I'm just gonna, you know what the funny thing is that earlier on I mentioned that P2 was on wet. Oh, moment and a half there for Hamada Arquizi, too greedy on the curbs, and I think that's the tyres that have become a bit of a cropper. So Hamada Arquizi needs to pit now. If he has another moment like that on the circuit in the next lap, that could spell curtains for H3 Racing's title aspirations here for Sprint Cup Season 3.
So the comments are, you'd be last if you pitted again. No way you can get 50 seconds back after changing to slicks now. Right, let's play devil's advocate. What was the pole time again? It was like a 120... Was that 127.3, right? They're currently doing lap times of 1:33. So if they change to slicks and they get remotely near that time, that's going to be 5 seconds a lap, 6 seconds a lap, 7 seconds a lap that they're taking off of their time. And you think that they've still got maybe another 10, 15 laps to go here. I would absolutely be taking that gamble right now, especially with the fall off that the wet tyres are going to have on this track right now.
I think what I'd be really interested in is seeing how quickly this track evolves, because we've gone from damp to greasy. Boothby's been running consistently in the 1:33.4s. Buncombe's half a second slower. So what you're going to find is that Boothby is going to start accelerating away from Buncombe. That gap's now already up to 3 seconds. And off the camera, if he's on dry tyres, that BMW is going to be like a rocket ship.
Yeah, we know the pace that thing has got in the dry as well, and the track temperature rising as well as we hit 9:12 a.m. virtual time here in Belgium. 21 degrees track temperature, and that is going to really get rid of any moisture that is on the track very, very quickly, as well as the air temperature of 20 degrees. That track currently at greasy. That changed quite quickly from damp to greasy, and again I think it'll change to green or somewhat like that very, very soon. 10-second penalties again, as we saw earlier, for those cars driving solo have been applied. Looking at the penalties coming in just now, Salvlainen with that number 11, of course he's driving solo tonight, getting that. Again, I mean, 90 minutes of racing here, Alex, is a grueling race anyway, but to do it all by yourself is just, yeah.
Right, I'm gonna throw a bombshell your way, David. Manis Gerardis, fastest lap of the race, lap 41. 1 minute 32.322 for the TF Racing Ferrari. Boothby's already in the 132.4s. Track is evolving quickly, and one of the other things is that these, I mean, like I'm already seeing Bunkum's on a 133.2, Camera 132.6, Johnson 133.1, Christie 133.1. You can see now that some of these cars that are on wet weather tyres, they are starting to struggle. Yaroslav Honzik 132.8 and going quicker. This is now the opportunity where drivers are going to need to decide: are they going to brave it, or are they going to stay out a little bit longer, maybe a lap or two, or are they going to pull it into the pits, or are they going to keep these cars out until the race ends? We've got 23 minutes to go, as Boothby's just put in the fastest lap on lap 42, 132.079. David, that is less than 5 seconds off of the pole position time set by Harry Spears.
Yeah, it's come down quickly, and look at that. Manos Gerardus fires back in cell, 131.677. You said it, this track is evolving massively quickly, and that is proof of that. These times are now coming tumbling down, and again, it's not just a case of, oh wow, there's fast lap times. It's the whole dynamic of this race is changing on its head right in front of your very, very eyes, because have a look at that. Gerardus going to try and fire it in the middle of these two here. Look at Christie. He's on the wet tyres, absolutely compromised as Maximilian Volmuth tries to go into the corner. Is hit by that was Manos Gerardus. Wasn't Gerardus's fault there, and Gerardus actually drops back there and has to fight off with Christie again, but he's surely going to have that no problem. Fires it up the inside. The 86 gets the move done, and Christie is going to drop like a stone just now.
He needs to pit. Christie needs to pit if they want to have an opportunity of being straight in that title fight at Suzuka in 2 weeks. Christie needs to pit now. Just had another penalty come through. There is a penalty coming through, a 10-second time penalty. That is Jonas Salvalainen, and that was contact with the KEK Sim Racing Lexus of Yannick Hamer, I believe. As there we go, Christie into the pits, and now that Ferrari has got to get that set of tyres up to temperature. This is going to drop them well outside of the top 10. So it's about how Christie responds, because we're still getting lap times. Honzik's in the 131.9s, Boothby in the 131.8s. So the times are dropping, David. And some that decided to go on slicks earlier, they've done the Jensen Button a la Canada 2011, and they've gone for it, and they've made it work.
Fastest lap of the race is from 24th place, James Parker in the Mercedes 131.57. That is an absolute stormer of a lap. I've got to be honest, I think the 404, that is a huge strategy fail. That's 3 laps too late on that pit stop. Those tyres are cooked. The positions that they've lost are going to be absolutely huge, and I think they're going to be lucky to finish inside the top 15 at this rate with just 20 minutes left to go in the race. I mean, what were they thinking staying out so long?
Well, they've dropped it. Oh, they are in 20th position. So Christie and Whitehead, that is an absolutely huge point loss, because where were they? P5. All right, look at it from this perspective. P5 to what is it? They've dropped outside of the top 23. Oh my goodness, that means they're probably gonna. They've dropped from what would have been 50 points, and they've now dropped all the way down to probably around. They've lost the best part of 45 points. As now Arthur Camera's got past Alex Bunkum. Bunkum on wets. And Camera on slicks on that BMW, and now the hunt for George Boothby truly begins, because Camera's only 11.2 seconds behind, and Camera's just put in the fastest lap of anybody, a 131.3.
And it's immediately beaten by Unisalvalainen at 1:31.1. This is hot lapping mode now. 20 minutes of pure, raw, unadulterated hot lapping for your viewing pleasure. They are absolutely going for it. This is like when you watch one of those famous real life races and you see one of the drivers that's not really got anything to win firing on softs at the end and just going for the fastest lap, except we get this for 20 minutes and there's places on offer as well. So yeah, this is awesome to see. The pace that these guys are able to throw in lap after lap is absolutely absurd. Camera still trying to hunt down Boothby. This is a replay then, and this is going to be the move from the BMW of Camera getting past, and I mean, there's no defence there. There's just nothing there. It's Buncombe knows that move is done and dusted, and there's absolutely nothing those wet tyres can do. But all credit to Arthur Camera. That is one hell of a move round turns 1 and 2, and they're still side by side going through into 3 and 4. Camera just, I mean, the level of respect from those two drivers is on another level right now.
Yeah, James Parker again has taken the fastest lap to his front bumper, because that's just put in a 1:30.888. Yeah, that move from Camera very much was very much a repeat of what Rob Taplin did earlier on in the race, and I think we've got a very, very different set of standings as now Taplin's in the pit. So as he ended up coming in for slick tyres, but I think the standings are what I'm really, really interested in right now as to how the dynamic has changed, because H3, they're going to have to put it all on the line in 2 weeks' time, and there you have it. They've dropped out of the top 5 because BMW Team G2 Esports now have a 17-point lead over the number 16 car, the XL Racing by Renfelden. And the way that things are going, Boothby and Van der Kelt have basically punched their way back into the title fight, and that is, 41 points off of the leaders.
Wild stuff. I think as Alex Johnson's still on wet tyres, he's doing 133, 134s, and so I think is Raymond Mooney in the 777 Ferrari doing 134s as well. I'm sorry, I don't normally speak this freely, but if you're still on wet tyres at this stage of the race, you might as well just go into the pits and just go and make yourself a cup of coffee, because there is absolutely nothing to gain. You will not score points now if you're on wets at this stage of the race, because you're gonna burn through them. You're gonna have to go into the pits to take on slicks, and you will not, guaranteed, you will not finish in the top 25. It's just, it's race suicide. I do not understand that at all.
Yeah, completely agree there, David. But also the fact that in the championship fight, a big thanks to Michael Hamlet as always, 5 manufacturers in the top 5 overall. That's a pretty good statistic. And one of the biggest things is that with being on the wet weather tyres, you're going to hemorrhage time, but also they're going to degrade so quickly that the minute you put yourself through into an apex on a corner, you get it wrong, you're going to end up in the barriers as well as not just hemorrhaging time.
I've just noticed Buncombe still, oh my goodness me, as we saw just behind that was Parker and Enslin duking it out, or was that was Benedetti and Mooney. Mooney is one of them that's still on the wets, and look at how far he's dropping back there. But also on that battle for Buncombe and Johnston, I don't understand why neither of them have pitted either. I mean, look at how fast Buncombe is falling back prior to everyone else. Buncombe's last lap was a 1:36.1, for goodness sake. And, Walmouth and Gerardus just up the inside like he's not even there.
Yeah, well, one of the more interesting things, we saw a bit of a battle between Benedetti and Mooney, while the car ahead, Robert Pagardel, has just put the Porsche in for the fastest lap. Now it's gone to Marcel Fusi in 14th place. And you know what this means now, with Alex Buncombe's tyres dropping off a cliff. This puts Maximilian Volmuth and Felix Ruppert in prime striking distance, because look, they've closed right up to Alex Johnson going through into the Villeneuve chicane. And the thing is that what Johnston needs to do, if I'm completely honest, if I was in that car right now, is going to see one of the championship protagonists behind him. He's got to get out of the way. He's done exactly the right thing, gone wide. He knows that the tyres are off the cliff. Perfectly good driving there by Alex Johnson to let Maximilian Volmuth and Gerardis to get through. And I would imagine that car's going to go ending up into the pits. I mean, there's 13 and a quarter minute, 3/4 minutes still to go, but he still stays out. And I think that was possibly Sheldon Muscat just behind him as well.
Yeah, and also at this point now, it's if he's staying out because he wants to try and just hold on, for the 13 minutes, then the thing is that that's not going to work either, because he's losing 6-7 seconds a lap to the cars behind him. So that's very quickly going to throw him to the back of the grid anyways. We see Marcel Fuzzi, oh my goodness me, giving Igor Ogorondikov a little taste of his own medicine. Although, to be fair, that's Igor's just got in the car, so we haven't seen Igor getting his elbows out, although we might see it just now as Luca Mueller. Yeah, there we go, that's it. So, that was an awesome move from Marcel Fuzzi. All about contact up the inside. Tries to go the number 5 of Luca Mueller, but it's not going to happen. That leaves it vulnerable to Balta around the outside in the Audi. And just as I said, Igor Ogorondikov hadn't blessed us with an opportunity to see him with his very flexed elbows. He goes and does that as we get confirmation of Alex Buncombe into the pits and quite probably out of any scoring points. And goodness me, that was some airtime from that car, and that is allowed Mueller up the inside. That was a horrible corner at the chicane. Ogorondikov tries to turn the corner. Oh my goodness me. Well, I guess the other day when I said, Ogorondikov, we hadn't really seen the ways that he used to be. Tonight we're getting him back to his good old self in full form.
Normal business has been resumed at the 41. That's all I'm saying about that. But now Manas Gerardis has set the fastest lap of the race. We're into the 129s, David. 129.553 from the 86. And he's closing on Maximilian Volmuth just up ahead in the number 16 car. Now this is for the final step on the rostrum, but in many respects Gerardis is nowhere in the title fight. However, they will want to get a top 3 result, I guarantee you of that much, because they're leaving nothing on the table. And Volmuth was just over 3/10 slower than Gerardis. So Wolmuth's looking in his mirrors, but look at the gap between George Boothby and Arthur Camara. It's now down to just under 9 seconds as Camara's just gone 6 1,000ths shy, David, of the sub 1 minute 30 second barrier.
Yeah, it's going to be very, very interesting to see how that one develops, because I think traffic's coming into play with Boothby and with Camara right now. Boothby on a clear bit of track right now, but that gap is starting to come down ever so slightly. We'll keep an eye on that one with just over 10.5 minutes left to go in this penultimate race here on the SimGrid Sprint Cup Season 3 at Zolder. It's David Christie and Alex Goldschmidt bringing you all of the action here in the final 10 minutes of this race, and what a race it has been in every sense of the word possible. This is a stunning little battle we've got going on for third place. This is we've got Manas Gerardis trying to catch on to the back of the number 16 Ferrari of Maximilian Volmuth, but Gerardis gets the run out of the corner. They're almost going to be side by side, and Volmuth makes a move to the defence there. And again, we point this out early, if you're good on your defence game, you can make it a very, very difficult position for the car behind. This is back to the battle for 9th place. Richard Lindhorst in the 111 pink Porsche in front there, just ahead of Eunice Salvleinen for Griffax. But back to that battle then with Manos Gerardis here and Maximilian Volmuth. What a cracking little battle we've got going on here. And that car that they've just passed, believe it or not, is the 36 of Lucas Kreuzer. A little bit late on the brakes there for Manos Gerardis here. And with just under 10 minutes left to go, this is developing very, very nicely indeed. That gap now stabilised at 8.1 seconds between first and second place.
Yeah, and I've also seen we're into the 128s. Marcel Fusi, 128.869. There's the updated standings. XL Racing by Renvelton. They are now 12 points off of BMW G2 Esports. And if it's to stay as it is, you can see now that the title has slipped away out of the grasp of Hamada Ekwesi and Luke Whitehead after what has been a very, very consistent season. But think of it this way, that gap is still coming down between Boothby and Camera. We still have about 8.5 minutes. I don't think it'll be close enough as Jan Willem van Ommen going up the inside of Alex Johnston. And that is for position. That's for P6 on the road. So good driving from the Dutch driver, just running solo. No Darren King with him tonight. But yeah, this now has really, really changed the title fight. And this means that I think Luke Whitehead and Hamada Ekwesi will have a point to prove on a future championship, because they had the opportunity, and what happened in that race, I think they're going to be kicking themselves for a long time to come, David.
No, I think you're absolutely spot on with that one. I'm very, very curiously watching the difference in lap times between Camera and Boothby coming down, down, down. I've got to be honest, if I'm in the team on number 62, I'm telling Camera to wind it in a bit. I'm telling him to back off just a little bit. There's no point hunting down George Boothby, trying to bring that gap down, trying to think of the championship, trying to think of the points, keep that second place nice and secure as Manos Gerardis tries to fire it up the inside of a very late breaking number 16 of Maximilian Wolmuth. They go side by side around the outside again. Goes Manos Gerardis, can't quite make it stick because Wolmuth is going to have the inside line to the next corner, but give him his due. Gerardis keeps his held in. What a move! Gerardis around the outside. Are you kidding me? Two of the greatest moves we've seen this season in one night, and that by a landslide tops it. That is one of the most incredible overtaking manoeuvres I have seen in the sim grid.
One of the other things it means that Wolmuth and Ruppert will be 16 points behind Noyox, well, the G2 Esports guys going into the final round. And also at the moment, I think Fusi's got the fastest lap, so the fastest lap also provides you with an additional point. So neither of the top, the top two protagonists in the championship was Marcel Fusi, and that was up the inside of Lucas Müller, and he's got Yannick Hemer, Richard Lindhorst just up ahead. And there's James Parker trying to get past Robert Pagardel and gets a real good run coming out of the Kleine Chicane. And he puts it round the outside at Sacrament Schelling. I've never seen that one before. James Parker brings another brilliant move to the party. And look at this gaggle here. Johnston, Lindhorst, Hamer and Fusi. 2x2 hurrah coming out of the Boulder box. Oh my goodness me. Yannick Hamer has to go all four wheels off the grass in order to avoid the clashing duo of Alex Johnston and Richard Lindhorst, and right up his back bumper is Marcel Fusi, as here comes Lucas Müller into the party as well. It's all elbows out. We've got just under 6 minutes to go.
And talking about under 6, look at the time between first and second place. Boothby and Camera are down to 6.8 seconds. Up the inside, tries to fire. Oh, he thought about it, didn't he? You get on the curb. Looked to have a go at there, but it was way too far back. So late on the brakes, just casual bunting left, right and centre from Yigaron Kanotikov. Isn't even trying to hide it now. Up the inside of who was that? That was the Mercedes there. That was Johnston that loses the place out from Yigaron Kanotikov. Oh my goodness me, 5 minutes left to go. This is just absolute craziness. And the gap now 6.3 seconds to your leader with 5 minutes left to go.
Camera's just taken a second out of Boothby there, David. But what's even more impressive, on his own, Yaroslav Honzik started P24. He's now in a genuine 5th position. And what's more, get this. This is where the title dynamic could change even further. Look who's just up ahead of him. It's the number 16 of Excel Racing by Rennfelters, Maximilian Volmuth. The gap was 1.5 seconds. It's now just a shade over 1.1. Jardier's on the charge.
Yeah, Jardier, I've got to be honest, don't discount Jardier for a potential podium place right now. It could very well happen with this going on right now. Cracking battle all the way through. The gap between first and second, I think that might be done. I think that charge from camera might be easing off. 4 minutes left to do. I can't see that holding on too much right now. But Gerardus, Walmuth and Honzig, this could be a very, very nice little battle brewing for the podium right now. But here is Igor Ogrodnikov trying to hunt down the 111 Porsche of Richard Lindhorst. But he's going to have to be careful because right behind him is that Audi just baying, waiting let's have a look there. That's Balzer that's behind him, Mark Balzer in that Audi. But look at that as well up front. That's Marcel Fusi trying to catch up to Yannick Hamer as well. And there goes around the outside. Come on, Mark Balzer. What happened to him? Because we saw him duck back to the outside there. Marcel Fusi thinks better of it as well. Do you know what it is? They've seen 10 minutes left to go. Oh, contact! Round goes Fusi. Oh, and I think that might have been Lucas Mueller that's in trouble for that one. Yellow flags come out. And, oh, you hate to see it, Alex. You hate to see it.
Yeah, the thing is that, as Jardier's now going up the inside of Maximilian Volmuth, going through into Erster, and Jardier's going to try and keep it pinned around the outside in the Audi. He's going to get it done. Is he going to do a repeat of what several drivers have done tonight? Not on this particular occasion, but they're going to come out of what was Kanalbocht. And at the moment, Jardier could put himself into the top four. Well, he's going to get himself in the top five with this fantastic performance tonight. And puts the number 39 Audi into the title fight with a round to go through into the Kleine Schikane. If he gets an opportunity, he's going to get a run through Sacrament Schelling towards the inside of Maximilian Volmuth. Is he going to get the drag onto him going through into the Villeneuve chicane? He's going to go door to door, bumper to bumper. Jaroslav Honzik puts it round the outside, coming out of the Villeneuve chicane, and takes fourth from Volmuth.
And the crowd go wild. What an absolute gladiatorial battle between those two. I mean, yes, there was contact between them, but it was all very fair. That wasn't very fair. That was the Porsche of Richard Lindhorst clumsily clattering into Mark Balzer in the Audi and leaving themselves very, very vulnerable to, who's that? Is that Marcel Fusi back behind there as well?
That's Lucas Müller. And then you got Fusi in the background. So yeah, this this championship, ladies and gentlemen, is well and truly ignited.
Oh my goodness me, 120. What is possibly going to top that in the next 1 minute 20? Oh, this is amazing stuff. Mark Balzer then ahead of Richard Lindhorst. But here is Maximilian Volmuth trying to catch back up to Jaroslav Honzik. Isn't really interested in that car behind him because that is, of course, the number 36 of Sheldon Muscat down in 25th position. But again, I mean, you look at the cars like Raymond Mooney, who's now in 23rd place. Hamada Arkizi, 22nd place. That is an absolute disaster for the H3 Racing outfit of 404. But here we go. This is going to be the final lap away to be started from George Boothby. It's been a cracking run, not only from George to take control of that lead. I've got to be honest, I think there might have been a certain element of pacing as he comes across the line to start that final lap. But Niels van de Kekkel to aggressively force his way through that third place, then that second place, and then take the lead. That is where all the work was done for me.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, as soon as he got past Harry Spears, the UGO 47 car, UKOG 47 car has not looked back. They've just kept the blinkers on and concentrated on the job at hand, and this has paid dividends. This is really helped them in terms of the championship standings. And let's not forget, they were down in 14th coming into this round, David. A DNF at Snetterton, a second, a sixth. They weren't present at the Hungaroring. But Boothby and Van der Kerkhout have definitely come alive when they've needed to, and they've got themselves into this title fight. And Boothby is making his way through the exit of the Villeneuve chicane for the final time.
What a race this has been. It has been absolutely spellbinding to watch so far. A great run from George Boothby as he's making his way down towards the final couple of corners just now. And again, it just has amplified what has been an incredible championship all round. And again, this turns everything on its head through the final chicane then. And what a race this has been for George Boothby and Niels van der Kerkhout. The checker flag waves, and it's a win for George Boothby and Niels van der Kerkhout in the number 47 machine here at the SimGrid Sprint Cup Season 3, Round 4. A great race. Round 5 even. Sorry, I was getting completely confused there. Arthur Kammerer, though, for G2 Esports, taking second place. Manos Gerardus for the 86 TF Racing outfit in third. Jaroslav Honzig, one of the standout drives tonight, repeatedly brought up to attention from Alex there. Fourth place for them. Maximilian Walmuth in the 16XL Racing by Ren Felton in fifth place, but it's all still good just now. Here comes Marcel Fusi, trying to take that place from Richard Lindhorst, gets the cut back, tries to think better of it, but this is going to be a straight drag race down towards the final chicane. Is Marcel Fusi going to lick the stamp and sends it to the outside, thinks one way, then the other. Richard Lindhorst is on the inside with that Porsche, but Fusi's going to force up the inside. What a move from Fusi. I think Richard Lindhorst has the drive though in the Porsche round the outside, but this, ladies and gentlemen, this is for 13th place. 13th, 14th and 15th. Don't let anyone ever tell you that it's only about first, second and third. What a race. Oh my goodness me.
Yep. And also, we can't forget about the fact that Jonas Salvalainen has an additional 20 seconds penalty on top of where he finished. And he drops down to 12th position at the end of that race. But my, oh my, David, the season finale in Suzuka is going to be spectacular. Oh,
it certainly is. It certainly is. I got so excited there that I completely forgot that we'd already had an extra round there. So used to last season where we only had the 5 races, and of course this season we make the move now to a brand new 6-race format here at the SimGrid. Ladies and gentlemen, if you have enjoyed what you have seen so far, stick around. We've got post-race interviews to do as well with the top 3 teams, but also hit that like and subscribe button on the YouTube channel. I know it sounds like it's such a cliche, but it really helps us out as a channel, and it also keeps you up to date with all of the content and all of the live racing that we do as well. And also a huge thank you to our commercial partners, Coach Dave Academy and to Thrustmaster as well, for their continued support in making all of these championships and all of these broadcasts happen. Alex, what do you make of that race? Because I mean, for the first 30 minutes it was looking a bit like, you know, orderly, calm, collected.
And then the doors were opened wide thanks to someone pulling the pin on the grenade and throwing it rather forcefully. But to be honest with you, that is how a penultimate race should be. You know, it's a bit like a duck. Calm on the surface, but paddling like heck underneath. And by heck did we see plenty of action in the second half after the pit stops.
Yeah, huge thing going down in this final race then. Looks like we do have drivers in for our interview, so we'll have a chat to Manos Gerardus, who crossed the line in third place there. Solo stinting it, so let's bring him in. Manos Gerardus, congratulations, a third place on the line there, and solo effort from yourself tonight, but yeah, a very tough drive.
Good evening to all. First of all, thank you all of you for organizing all of this competition. Mega level. Starting from P16 was very tough because I knew I had much more pace to qualify higher, but strategy was absolutely perfect. My teammates from my team did an amazing job, and I gave it all to go to the podium.
Now, given how mixed the conditions were earlier on, and given that you started at 16th place, did you think at any point that third place was on the cards for you tonight?
Not even in my dreams. Even if it was dry, I was never thinking that I was capable of a P3 today.
It's also, I mean, you pulled off some incredible overtaking manoeuvres. It's not like you just accidentally find yourself on the podium. What was it like in that first half of the race where the weather was very difficult? And then after that, how quickly did it dry up?
The first half of the race was a bit frustrating because I needed to have a lot of patience, not doing any mistakes, not hitting the other cars, because I was a lot faster than the front. And the second half, I expected to dry up a little later, but it was okay. My tires were okay. I was feeling the car very, very fine. And the fight for P3 was amazing, very tough. And congrats to Maximilian for a very clean fight. Very, very nice.
Excellent stuff. Well, Manos, it's been an absolute pleasure to watch you and to chat with you after the race tonight. Best of luck for Suzuka in the season finale, and enjoy the podium, and hope you have a couple of beers tonight.
Thank you very much, guys. Thank you. I will for sure.
There we go then, that is Manos Gerardis, and I've got to be honest, it is awesome when you get to hear guys like that who are very, very humble and very appreciative when they get a really good result. Right, let's have a chat with second place, G2 Esports. Huge championship implications for tonight for the 62 team. Let's have a chat then with Arthur Kammerer and Niles Noyox. Let's bring them both in for a little chat tonight. Gentlemen from G2 Esports, Niles Noyox and Arthur Kammerer, welcome along. Niles, we'll have a chat with you first. You took the first stint. What was that race like?
Hey, I'm trying to remember because it's already an hour ago, but I think I was a bit disappointed with the qualifying because I knew I had more pace in the car, but I didn't dare to push with the rain on the horizon in qualifying, and just that single lap I could do. So took it a bit too easy, I think. 1/10 more, so was easily in there, and then we would have been P2 or 3 already, which would have been better. But then, yeah, the race start was fine. There were really no trouble for us at the start and could gain a position or so in a few corners in. And then we knew all our competitors didn't exactly have the best of qualifying, so we were in a good position, could just wait for things to come our way. And luckily, a few cars had this tiny bit of a mistake where we couldn't then put the nose in and gain a position there. So yeah, it was good.
And Arthur, moving to yourself, that second half, I mean, that was a flawless run from yourself, but it was so important for you to get past that Mercedes as quickly as possible, wasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it had to be a flawless run. We knew we were taking a gamble with going on the slicks, so it was all about dialing in the pressures right. And I think overall we hit it spot on. I was a bit slow in the middle, in the beginning, but then in the middle I was in the perfect pressure range, and just at the end I fell out of the pressure window. So I don't think you could have done it any better. So I'm really happy with how it went, and then I kept the car on track.
Talk us through the final 5 to 10 laps, Arthur, because we see the gap, it's 8 seconds, then it's 7.5, then it's 6.5, then it's 5.9. How hard were you pushing at that point?
I was trying to go for calculated risk driving style. Just I knew when I drove a good lap, I wasn't gaining enough, so I could easily assume I wasn't gonna get it. I wasn't gonna get him until the end. So, yeah, I mean, I was always trying a bit, but not trying too hard.
I like that. Managed risk. And to both of you, championship leaders. That's got a nice ring to it, doesn't it? And I believe it's around about 17 points or something that the championship lead is up by to yourselves now from H3 Racing, who had a disastrous race tonight. What's the thoughts going ahead of the final round at Suzuka? Are you battening down the hatches and just going for the championship win, or are you going for the race win?
I think we have to do the math first. How many points we're ahead by now already? Because it's just too many teams to already calculate ahead how it's going to look. However, I think Suzuka is one of the better tracks for the BMW, at least. So hopefully the weight doesn't impact it too much.
I might want to add, if BOP doesn't come along again and ACC gives us an update that slows us down again for some reason.
Well, we all know it's exactly, the BMW is like the OP car in the game. They're just trying to slow you down. That's what it is. Well, listen, Artur Kammerer and Niels Noyox, congratulations, guys, on the second place. A brilliant performance for BMW Team G2 Esports, and we can't wait to see you in the final round.
Thanks. Bye.
So there we go then, Niles and Artur, and let's have a chat then with your race winners. It was a spirited performance in the early half from Niels van de Kekkel, and then it was just cruise control for George Boothby in the end. Let's have a chat to the drivers now. Gents, a brilliant win. Congratulations. Niels, we'll come to yourself just now first. That was some of the most robust racing we've seen so far from yourself in the Sprint Cup.
Hey, good evening, guys. Yeah, that was a fun race, man. That was it was very, very challenging with the changing conditions, but yeah, like you said, I think a very robust performance today.
On that note, you did. We've been noticing you've changed your driving style in the past couple of weeks, Niels. That you don't wait as much behind other drivers now. You'd rather just get the move done. Has anything specifically changed, or is that just how you drive from now on?
No, the thing is, right, in this case today with the conditions, I think to win for us, I just had to get past the McLaren and the Merc. And well, as you can see from the whole race, overtaking on this track, and then especially in these conditions, is just incredibly painful. Like, it's really, really hard. So I was just hanging in there, and I just had to bide my time and really wait for the right moment to strike. Because, you know, I was thinking of a couple of moves before, but you know, recently I've been making a little bit of a few mistakes with overtaking, and well, that's never really what you want, is it? So I've actually been trying to, you know, keep things safe today and just abide my time, wait for the right moment, and I think we did that to perfection, because I think the move on the McLaren was really good, and then the move on Spears was just crucial, because after that I managed to pull a little bit of a gap, which we really needed for that second stint when George got in the car.
And just before I hand it over to George, Niels, on yourself on that first stint, when you come into the garage on a team race and you hand it over in first place after fighting so hard for it, how big is the smile on your face?
Very big, and especially if you can give it to a driver like George, that just increases your smile even more, because I do have quite some good faith in George. So yeah, I was very, very pleased with the performance, and also very pleased that George was taking over for that second stint.
Well, George, Niels van de Kekkel has faith in you. Is that misplaced?
Sometimes. No, that was an epic race. Niels absolutely smashed it. Like, he made the overtakes, he pulled the gap. Like, it's on him, man. I just brought it home. He absolutely smashed it today. Not literally.
On that note, towards the end, we saw Artur Kammerer and the pace picking up towards the end there, and the gap coming down and down and down. Was there ever a moment where you were starting to think, oh, hang on a minute here?
I sort of was monitoring how many laps we had left and how much he was catching, so I was just taking it easy, really, just making sure. Like, I think I had a little bit more pace in me, but I was just making sure I didn't make any silly mistakes or get a drive through, you know what I mean?
A brilliant performance, though. And obviously, when you're out there by yourself, does it add to the pressure in a team race instead of just driving by yourself?
Oh yeah, you don't want to make a mistake because, like I say, you're letting the team down, you're letting the side down. But now, like I say, Niels has faith in me, I have faith in him, and it worked out today really well. So.
Yeah, a great performance as well in the championship. That gives you some vital points, and that will move you up almost certainly into the top 10, if not the top 5 after tonight. What are the celebrations going to be like for yourselves tonight? Is it going to be quite moderated, or are you having a couple of tipples?
I've had a shot of Jaeger, and I'm currently sipping on a beer, so it's only just begun.
We don't do moderation, David. You should know that by now.
Right, guys, when all this is done and dusted, I'm coming to party with you guys. That sounds like a plan right there. But George Boothby and Niels van de Kekelt there from the UK OG47 team. Congratulations on the penultimate rounds win of the season here at SimGrid, and we'll see you next time at Suzuka.
Thanks, lads.
Thank you, David. Always
Cheers.
a pleasure. Have a good night.
So there we go. Wow. Right, Alex, that shot of Jaeger sounds very, very tempting tonight after what we've just witnessed.
Well, it definitely has soothed George's nerves after bringing the car home. I mean, that now gives us 3 different teams having won races. So UK OG47 now become the 3rd different winners on Sprint Cup Season 3. Plenty of action to come. We've got Super Saturday this coming Saturday at Barcelona with V8 Cup, Golden Oldies, Battle of Barcelona, more female races by Thrustmaster Rockets returns, round 2 at Monza. We've then got round 2 of the SimGrid VCO World Cup, Thrustmaster 24-hour Spa-Francorchamps qualifying a week today, and then once around the clock on Saturday. And then we return for what's, as quickly as it started, it's nearly over and done with. Suzuka in a couple of weeks for the season finale for Season 3. More female races by Thrustmaster Rockets heads to Spa on the 24th of May, and then we've got the German Cup at the Nürburgring on the 27th of May, and then round 2, the 6 hours of Monza of Endurance Cup Season 3 by Thrustmaster. Plenty to be excited about, but yeah, tonight was one of those races where it now sets something rather special for Suzuka, and I can't wait, buddy.
Yep, very, very excited. As always, a huge thank you to our partners. You just saw there, Coach Dave Academy. If you see the drivers and are like me thinking, how the bloomin' heck do they get those times in? Head over to Coach Dave Academy. Not only do they do some of the best esports generated setups in the business, they also now offer one-to-one coaching. So now you can figure out exactly where you're going on. Now you can figure out where you can get those half seconds, full seconds on the lap every single time. Great value for money. Head over there. And also thank you to Thrustmaster for I'm completely biased as always. They do the best sim racing hardware on the market. Don't care. Yep. Don't want to hear it.
Yeah, considering someone's bought a T300 RS quite recently.
It's amazing. It's amazing. Best wheel I have ever had, and I had the T150 before that as well. And also a huge thank you to Alex Goldschmidt for having to put up with me for another 2 hours as well. I've been David Christie. And finally, I also, as always, our hearty thank yous go out to Mike Yao, our broadcast director, and our man behind the scenes, Michael Hamlet, who pulls all the strings and does all of the organisation and has way too many sleepless nights than you can even think about. From everyone here at the SimGrid, have a wonderful, wonderful evening. Check us out at simgrid.com, and we will see you next time.